any game. This is the championship game for the Toronto Rock. Their first ever in the National Lacrosse League. No more practicing, no more thinking. It's now time to play. The Rochester Knighthawks know all about it. They won this title 2 years ago. Can they do it again? But they'll have to do it in front of a raucous crowd. The following is a presentation of Molstar Sports and Entertainment in association with CTV Sportsnet. It may be our national sport, but this trophy has never called Canada home. The Toronto Rock hope to change that tonight as they host the Knighthawks from Rochester. First meeting, January 29th, Dan Stroop nets 5, the Rock rolling to a 16-9 win at home. A week later in Rochester, Knighthawks captain Randy Mearns beat Bob Watson in OT as the Hawks deal the Rock only one of their 3 losses. Hey, the gloves are off. It's championship night. Captain Jim Beltman and the Rock have been perfect at home. 2 weeks ago, they called down the Thunder from Baltimore as Colin Doyle scored with 7 ticks to play to cap a perfect 6-0 regular season. Last Friday, Bob Watson and the Rock set a new indoor all-time record while allowing just 2 goals to the defending champion Philadelphia Wings as the Rocks crushed the Wings 13-2 in the semifinal at MLG. The Rock duel with 1997 champion Rochester tonight for the NLL Championship Trophy. And it's long overdue for the old lady on Carlton Street, as no championship banner is hung since 1967. Could the Rock hang one on Rochester tonight? Up next, it's the Rock and Hawks for bragging rights. Welcome to the madhouse that is known as Maple Leaf Gardens tonight. The Toronto Rock and the Rochester Knighthawks getting ready for the National Lacrosse League Championship game. There is no 7 games. There is no sudden death because it is a 1-game championship. The teams have to let it all hang down. Listen to this crowd. You know, I've been at Maple Leaf Gardens for a number of events. I was here for the closing, but I can tell you the atmosphere in this building is absolutely electric, and I have never seen a crowd like this one. 15,500. They're looking at a sellout tonight for lacrosse, believe it or not, and the Toronto Rock are all set to win their first ever lacrosse title. Let's go upstairs to the guys who are going to call this game, Joe Bowen and Brian Shannon. Gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Sunil. Well, it is electric at Maple Leaf Gardens, and it was a defense that had an awful lot of voltage going for it last week, as Bob Watson has a save percentage in the playoffs of an unheard of 9-4-7, allowing just 2 goals to set a record. He got a lot of the accolades, but Brian Shanahan, this was really a team defensive concept.
Yeah, this team, Joe, has really built their identity around the defense, and they've got 5 guys who play a lot of defense, and these guys, they were at their shining moment last week. They've got 4 guys that are over 200 pounds, and they got little Roddy Squires out there who gets the loose balls. And these guys, not only are they big and punishing, but they're good athletes. They can run, they have good sticks, and they gobble up the loose balls. They're playing great.
Roddy Squire is always entertaining to watch, and entertaining to watch as well as Darius Kilgore. He was acquired by the Knighthawks late in the season from Buffalo, and has been a big acquisition for them.
Yeah, Darius was a big part of that trade, and they got Darius to help them on the power play, and because he is such a winner. He's had a quiet season by his standards, but he's won 5 Man Cups, 2 Minto Cups, and 3 championships in this league, and he's just a winner, and that's why they have him here. Hopefully he'll rub off on the rest of the guys.
So it is going to be a great night of lacrosse here at Maple Leaf Gardens in a sold-out atmosphere, and they are ready to go as the National Lacrosse League trophy is paraded across the floor here at Maple Leaf Gardens. Let's go back downstairs now to Sunil Joshi.
And Joe, you know what? I love trophies, so I'm just going to walk with this one, the National Lacrosse League Championship Trophy. That's the one that everybody is playing for here, and the Toronto Rock and the Rochester Knighthawks right there as we get ready for it. What so proudly we hailed at the twilight. Molson Rock Lacrosse is brought to you tonight by Molson Canadians and by the Toronto Sun.
I don't like my car pulling to the left. pulling to the right, and I hate that shimmying thing.
My car starts shaking. It's time for Midas.
For $44.95, you can get a honkin' boutonniere or a Midas alignment special.
$44.95? Can't beat that.
These things will knock your car out in a hurry.
Introducing new Midas Gold shocks and struts. Now 50% off your second one.
My customers expect my car to be safe with a nice, fresh scent.
Midas. Car care the way it should be.
Somebody should fix these things.
You guys hear that?
In this country, everyone knows we've got two seasons. Winter and
Patio.
it ain't no joke, saying it perfect harmony. Season's greetings. Here's where we get Canadian. You might as well be walking on the sun. You might.
Defense. Continue to dominate the loose balls. Don't let them pick up rebounds and make Patty O'Toole move. He's a great stopper in the outside shots. They got to get him moving.
As far as Rochester is concerned, they got to spread out the Rock defense a bit.
Exactly. Toronto's defense is so big and strong. You want to spread them out, thin them out a bit, and you can do that by establishing the outside game, taking long shots. The power play has to improve. That's why they've got Kilgore, and use the speed game of Casey Powell.
Here are the goaltenders. Bob Watson, as you see his record through the playoffs, but during the regular year he had a 12.00 goals against average and was 6-2. And Pat O'Toole had a record of 5-2 and a 10.92 goals against average. Had he played, what, 3 or 4 more minutes in the season, he would have been the best goaltender in the league.
Exactly, Joe. You have to play so many minutes before you're eligible to lead those stats, and he was just 4 minutes short, so he is a very strong goalie, and Toronto's aware of it.
Here we go, and we're glad you're along with us. Mike Ventura of Boston is the crew chief. Roy Condon of Boston is along with Bill Fox, the referees. Fox from Toronto. Toronto in the white jerseys moving right to left. Squire working it inside for Bullen. Bullen has it taken away and quickly come back the Knighthawks. Down the right side with McCready. McCready stands it up and tries to start to set things up. Loose ball on the floor. Doyle. Bullen takes him in against the wall. Another loose ball gobbled up by Toronto, and we've got a scrum over on the far side. Now that's no way for a new father to behave.
That's right.
Terry Bullen's had a very impressive day. His wife gave birth to their second family member, a daughter, today, and so Terry is going to the penalty box.
Terry might not have got a lot of sleep last night, Joe, so he's in a bad mood.
No penalties on the play. Loose balls are going to be a big factor.
Paddy Coyle and Darius Kilgore fight for the ball, and Terry and Darius got into a little bit of a shoving match afterwards.
Toll development on the right side now for Colin Doyle. Doyle moving inside with a shot. Rebound, and unable to control it was Kim Squire. Squire knocked down, and it is the Knighthawks with a loose ball on the floor. Langdale picks it up. Langdale for Toronto trying to set things up. First quarter action from Maple Leaf Gardens. Joe Bowen along with Brian Shanahan.
So far, Joe, Toronto's been right on top of the loose balls.
Doyle inside. Squire can't control. Bowled over, and the ball rolls to the side of the net where it is controlled by Patty O'Toole, the 27-year-old native of Toronto who resides in Brampton now.
A beautiful pick and roll on that play by not Roddy Squires, Kimbo Squires on Colin Doyle, getting himself open like we saw a lot last week.
Stroop to Williams. Sean Williams trying to move inside. Toll with a shot, and that was stopped, and it bounces off the goaltender and into the crowd for a Toronto ball. We want to welcome our viewers on WB26 in Rochester, watching the National Lacrosse League Championship action coming to you from Maple Leaf Gardens here in Toronto. Dan Stroop taking it wide, inside feed. O'Toole with a big save there. Another loose ball is on the floor, and O'Toole has it cleaned up on the right side for Kevin Dance. Dance gives the ball away. Toll hit the goal post. Steve Toll rattles it off the far pole after he stole the ball from Dance. Ball inside, down into the Toronto zone. Turned over again, and Patty Coyle has it with an outlet pass coming off the floor, and one of the Rock players getting a stick over the boards to try and keep it in play, but it's whistled down by the officials.
Looks like there might be a little bit of the case of the jitters so far, Joe.
Why shouldn't there be?
Here you see, Joe, we've got the two hottest teams in the finals here. Toronto's on a hot streak, and so is Rochester. Toronto won 9 of their last 10 games. Rochester winning 6 of their last 7.
A lot of action along the wall with Dan Teed of Rochester getting bumped by Pat Coyle. Another loose ball, and Ladisser steps into his man, still on the floor. Finally, no, it's not gobbled up. Bullen runs his man into the firewall as he took Means down heavily.
That probably should have been an over and back call on that play anyhow, Joe.
Ladisser trying to rescue Pat Coyle from the Rochester bench, but what a job by Terry Bullen. The Bullen wall, as they call him here, and he's been outstanding. Toll, who hit the goal post moments earlier, his quickness inside, and it is gobbled up there by Patty O'Toole.
So far, Patty O'Toole has been showing us why he won the MVP in the Mann Cup last year, Joe. He's been stopping them, and when he's not stopping them, the post has been in the way.
Randy Mearns turns the ball over to Toll again. Inside move, Beltman a shot, and he pays for a big hit there, but a whistle. But Rochester has turned the ball over on an uncontested move on 3 separate occasions here early.
And that's twice in a row where they put it right in the sticks of the Toronto guys, Joe. But that's part of Toronto's strategy, is get in the way, press a bit. 3 of these already, and you see Toll got the shot away earlier, and it was Toll picked up 2 of them actually, the last 2. But Patty O'Toole's been earning his keep so far.
Rochester ball, and the Rock have had the first 6 shots of this contest, and a penalty coming here to Toronto. Rory Graham going off, so the first power play goes to Rochester.
Rochester's had the 2nd worst power play in the league during the regular season, Joe.
Too many men on the floor to call, Brian.
That's why Rochester has Darius Kilgore. He'll help the power play a lot.
Doreen Bombery with a hit on the boards, and now here's Beltman. Tripped up, but getting the ball free to Terry Bullen.
Smart play by Jim Beltman there.
Bullen gets it back, and now on the left wing side, bringing it in is Chris Gill. Gill being hampered as he takes it wide. Goaltender O'Toole out with a hit. Williams gets a piece of O'Toole. Oh, it's heating up here at the Gardens. Look at the work by Gill. Still has the ball. Still has the ball.
Beautiful.
Down on a knee. Hacked, whacked, and slashed, and finally coughs it up, but what a job. With 1:12 left to go in the penalty.
And so far, it looks like the referees are going to let a lot go, and most of these players won't mind that, Joe. Most of these guys play in the Canadian League in the summer, which is a bit rougher than this league, and I think if both teams are willing to go for it, the referees will let a lot of things go.
Bomberry from outside, and down is Bobby Watson to handle that. First, making the 2nd shot on goal for Rochester.
3-on-2 here.
Short-handed. Looking for Doyle. Scores!
And Joel, that goal was all because of a quick transition off the short man up the floor. They were able to catch Rochester making a change there, and they got the 3-on-2. Beautiful passing play. Jim Veltman starts it here, and he's got Kim Squires and Colin Doyle both coming, all 3 of them off the bench. Good finish, nice fake by Doyle.
The Rock led the league with 11 short-handed goals this season.
Nice fake. You see him fake to the far side and go short.
Colin Doyle had one of those 11 short-handed goals during the regular year. He gets the first goal of this playoff game. He had 17 on the season.
Colin got a nice short-handed goal last week. Joe, it was one of the prettiest goals I've seen all year. You're going to see a lot of battles on these face-offs for loose balls. Both these teams are very good on loose balls.
Good look at it as we see the scramble for the loose ball off the face-off. And it is going to be turned over to the Rochester Knighthawks. 1-0 Rochester with 37 seconds left to go in the penalty to Rory Graham. Jacobs inside shot, scores! Bouncing shot from Darius Kilgore.
Well, as we said before, Darius Kilgore is a dangerous shooter, and especially dangerous when he's on the power play and has time to wind up.
So the teams trade goals on this power play. For Kilgore overall, he had 16 goals on the season, 4 of them on the power play.
You just see DuRoss has a great shot, and DuRoss and Bobby Watson are no strangers to each other. They were teammates in Buffalo in the Buffalo Summer in the Canadian Summer League. Although Buffalo plays in the Canadian League, it sounds funny, but they also played in St. Catharines, and they know each other well.
Kilgore had 1 goal in the win last week over Baltimore, so his second in the playoffs. Graham waiting for a change of offensive players to come onto the floor and heads to the bench. 20 seconds left in the shot clock as Hurd brings it up. Pass from Stroop inside, and Gill shot it over top of the net. In traffic, it is controlled by Rochester and brought up the floor by Tim Sudan. In now for McCready, a shot right on. Big rebound, scooped over top of the goal. Rebound to Clark. In traffic. Clark gets it up from Big Ladisor, who pinned his man to the boards. Bullen carrying it up the floor. Dishes off to Squire, who's heading to the bench, and his brother Kim Squire holds the ball. Fakes the handoff. Squire trying to go wide. Has some time. Inside feed for Doyle. That ends up on a loose ball on the floor, and here comes the scramble for it. Leg out. Grabbed off by Squire. Shot by Veltman is deflected wide and controlled as the shot clock runs down.
The sticks are really swinging hard on those loose balls.
Oh boy, are they ever.
Mike Hazen is just slamming his stick around out there.
Kevin Dance, maybe the smallest player in this league. For Casey Powell. Powell inside, and a shot is stopped by Watson. Powell was leveled after he shot the ball and is hurt. Play goes on. Referee standing over Casey Powell, and finally it's blown dead. Casey Powell, who has bettered all of the Gait Brothers records at Syracuse. This team, the Knighthawks, are 9-1 when he's been in the lineup.
Yeah, Casey Powell is one of the best field lacrosse players there is. He's got to learn the box game, but he had a pretty good season. He was tied for the lead in assists in this team with 21 assists, and they're going to be patient with him.
He may have just found out a little more about the box game right here.
There's a little bit more hitting here. You see a bit of a high stick on that from Pat Coyle, but you saw his footwork there, and that's what Casey Powell is the fastest guy in the team, one of the fastest guys in the league, and you saw a bit of his footwork there.
So a break in the action, and there's been plenty of it. 8:55 to go in the quarter, tied at 1.
Looking for digital connectable office technology?
It'd be what it's turned out to be all season long for the Rock.
Well, you've got a sellout here tonight, and the first period has been amazing, absolutely amazing. You agree?
Just great action, both back and forth. Both teams are playing real hard. Great saves by the goalies, great hard hitting, fast action, and the fans are really into it.
Boy, are they ever, and so are we. Let's go upstairs to Joe and Brian.
Thanks, Sunil. 1-1 tie, 8:55 to go in the first quarter, and the Rock with the ball. Stroop, Gill, now to Williams. Sean Williams works inside, trying to get the pick and roll to work for Gill, and it didn't. Gill has the loose ball, though, but he has run out of room over there, being bothered by Kevin Dance. Behind the back pass, rolls to the line. Oh, good save made there by O'Toole, and then he got fortunate. Long outlet goes right by everyone. Bobby Watson has it, and he'll return the favor now to Rory Graham. Change of players coming for both teams. Kim Squire has the ball over the timeline.
So far, Joe, it's shaping up to be a goaltender's battle.
Langdell, and that's what I think we expected, didn't we? A shot by Langdell goes wide. 10 seconds left on the shot clock. That one is wide. Rebound to Veltman. He throws it at the net. Scores! What a great pass from Jim Veltman. And Colin Doyle gives the Rock the lead.
And Joe, there was only a few seconds left on that shot clock there. And I think a lot of people felt that Jimmy was just going to either take a desperate shot at the net with 3 seconds left, but he makes the nice pass. Look at Doyle calling for the pass here. But what a play. 2 guys on him. A backhand goal. Beautiful. There you're going to see Jimmy's. And I would bet Jimmy's looking elsewhere from where he passes. That's one of the great skills of Jim Veltman. He's never looking where he passes.
7 assists last week in the win over Philadelphia. Jim Veltman has radar for eyes. He spotted Doyle and hurt him, and he just made a great pass there. Look at the scrum here with Graham now on the floor with his face-off opponent. Now they rock back in with a pass. Veltman couldn't control it. Veltman, Graham was really going at it there with Kevin Dance.
We'll see a lot of those battles, Joe.
2-1 Toronto here in the first quarter. Glad you're along with us on CTV Sportsnet. Inside move by Stroop, and it's turned over as he stepped into the crease. And of course our viewers down in Rochester on WB26.
Joe, Rochester doesn't have a big team compared to Toronto. Toronto's got a lot of size, but what's good about Rochester is that none of them will be intimidated. It doesn't matter that Toronto might outweigh them on average. These guys all play tough lacrosse, and even the little guys like Kevin Dance, Rusty Kruger, those guys won't be intimidated one bit.
Doyle bringing the ball up the floor for Toronto. Tim Squire moved inside. Veltman thought about going to him, goes back to Doyle. He has both Toronto goals. Bounce pass, Squire caught it away as he was going down, and it goes into the crowd. And to make things just a little more dicey, gave Reggie Thorpe a pretty good shot and another turnover. Veltman with the ball. Inside move. Behind the back pass for Squire. He wasn't waiting for it. Squire across the floor, off the glass, controlled, behind the back pass for Squire, and they're starting to get a little fancy now. Hollenbeck brings the ball up the floor. Hazen drops it back for the captain. Here's Mearns trying to move in. Now to the far side, back it comes now for Kruger. Rusty Kruger inside. That was stopped. And a penalty is coming here for a holding.
He's calling Jimmy Veltman on the hold on Rusty Kruger. Rusty Kruger is one of those players that you get him in close around the goalie, he rarely misses.
32, holding 2 minutes, 32.
Here we're going to see the penalty. Rusty Kruger tries to beat Jimmy Veltman one-on-one, and Jimmy gets called for the hold on the wraparound.
So there will be another power play here. The Rock were the most penalized team in the National Lacrosse League this year, totaling 320 minutes. Rochester, by virtue, were the second least penalized team next to the New York Saints at 234 minutes for the season. So this sort of running true to form. Even last week, in their win over the Philadelphia Wings, they gave up 6 power play opportunities to just 3 that they enjoyed.
And Toronto has the best penalty killing team in the league, but it always hurts you a little bit when Jimmy Veltman is in the box, because he's probably the best penalty killer. He's great at scooping up those loose balls, and that is one of the reasons why Toronto has such a great penalty killing, is they dominate those loose balls, and I think that has also helped in their power play a lot.
Clock down to 10 seconds. Stroop just running it out. Veltman led the league in shorthanded assists this year, and so Stroop now just rolls it into O'Toole as the clock had run out. Ted Dowling, he had 4 goals in the win over Baltimore last week. Dropping it back for Jacobs on the power play with 1:05. Bonberry inside for Jacobs. Ball on the floor. Clark trying to knock it up the floor. Trying to get a loose ball. He does now for Paddy Coyle. In for Clark. Short-handed try. He scores!
Beautiful work out there on that loose ball, Joe. Glenn Clark all the way up the floor, fighting for that loose ball, and then Paddy Coyle came in and picked it up. Right from their own end, you see them fighting for that loose ball. Paddy Coyle picks it up, gives it to Glenn Clark, who scored his first goal last week. Gets another today, and a shorthanded one. A second shorthanded goal for Toronto.
So the Rock take a 3-1 lead as Glenn Clark scores shorthanded. On the regular year, Clark did not score. That is his first goal of the season, and it comes in a very big game at a very important moment.
Actually, we talked about it last week, Joe. He didn't score, and there was a lot of games where he wasn't playing. He did score his first goal last week, though. but there was many times during the season where he thought he wasn't going to get back in the lineup. He was out of the lineup for about 7 or 8 games. And once he got back in, he played great, and he's a big part of the team and a big part of the defense right now.
Dwayne Jacobs dumping it back, gets it returned. Jacobs looking now for Sudan. His shot stop, rebound, scores!
Casey Powell picked up that rebound, put it in pretty quick there, Joe.
So exactly the same scenario as the last Rochester power play. They score with the man advantage, but they give up a shorthanded goal in the process. Now wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I think there's some question as to whether that went in the net or not. I thought it did.
No, it didn't. I guess not.
Well,
no goal.
We'll see a replay of that later. Have a look. Let's watch Casey Powell. Does this go in or not? Well, we can't tell from that one.
We can't see. The Rochester Knighthawks thought it did.
There we see from here.
Oh, maybe it went right through the net, or did it bounce out?
Couldn't really see from that one either, Joe.
Either way, there's no video review in this league, and there's no goal. Toll.
Video replays only count on the fines, Joe.
5 seconds left to go, and the penalty. Kim Squire taking it around back of the net, coming out in front. The backhand went wide, tried to tip it in. No goal. No goal. Colin Doyle was in the crease when he got it around from off the end wall, in behind O'Toole.
Nice effort by both of them, though, Joe. Kim Squire is taking his patented backhand.
Great attempt here on the shot, but it's still 3-1 Toronto.
The ICW is coming to Ontario with 2 shows. May 1st in Hamilton, May 2nd in Oshawa. Get ringside for the action. Tickets at the door or call Ticketmaster at 870-8000 to charge.
Weeks ago, you'd never catch me smiling.
Brock, there was a disallowed goal at down end. With me is the crew chief, Mike Venturi. Mike, what happened?
Well, our goal official, Bill Fox, was right on the play. He ruled that the ball hit the outside of the net, and based on that, we disallowed the goal.
There you go. That's the reason why the goal was disallowed. Let's go back upstairs to Joe and Brian.
Hank Sunil will get you a jersey, and you can get out there and help officiate this game. Boy, we get right to the crux of them. I could hardly wait for Kerry Fraser to come over and explain how Gretzky didn't get a penalty. That would have been a nice call, too. Here we go. It's 3-1 in favor of the Rock. Powell dishes it back. On the far side, the teams are at even strength. Sudan into the slot. Powell takes a bit of a whack there from Coyle, and a loose ball is on the rug. Squire against the boards. Clock counting down quickly here for Rochester. Bullen comes up with it now, and a fresh 30 now for Toronto. Long outlet pass. Williams gets around a defender but can't control the ball. Goaltender O'Toole out to turn it back up the floor for Reggie Thorpe. The 27-year-old veteran from Eldridge, New York, dishes it off and heads to the bench. Corey Bombery. Now for the captain, Randy Mearns. Back into the middle. Another loose ball on the ground, but controlled here by Rochester. Now it's still loose. Bombery dishes it back. Trying to shoot the ball is Mearns. He couldn't. Another drive then went wide of the goal as the shot clock ran out. Ball turned over to Toronto. Great defense again by the Rock.
Great defense out there. Here you see Casey Powell was a first draft choice overall. He had 30 points to lead all the rookies, and they're 9-1 with him in the lineup. And he's going to get a lot better too. He's never played this game. He was a great field lacrosse player, but he's just learning the indoor game.
And he had a great career at Syracuse as a shot by Gill went wide. Toronto with yet another loose ball, and they've got to be dominating this aspect of the game as they did against Philadelphia. Almost 3-1 in that game against Philadelphia, the loose balls.
There's a fast break, Joe.
Quick pass ahead from Patrick McCready. Stood up here by Bullen. Now engaged by Clark. McCready dishes it off, and it goes now to Dwayne Jacobs. Pass inside, scores over the shoulder on a nice play. Kurt Malowski makes it 3-2.
And Joe, it looked like Kurt Malowski had no angle on this. He does a beautiful play there. Bobby thought he had the angle taken away. You're going to see he's on his wrong side, and he sort of changed the angle of his shot the last second and just dips over around his shoulder. And Bobby was surprised that I was surprised from up here that he was able to put it in from there. You watch, he's on his wrong side. That's tough to score, and he reached around his shoulder.
Here's Rory Graham scoring! Right off the face-off. The Rock's Rory Graham roars down the right side and restores the 2-goal lead.
And we talk about the importance of loose balls and the importance of face-offs. Rory Graham won more face-offs than anybody in the league this year. And he actually got off to a slow start this season, but here you see he wins it clean, just straight down the floor, and a bounce shot. He scored a few like that this year, and that really takes the momentum back to Toronto after Rochester scoring that last goal.
Malowski's third goal of the playoffs. Rory Graham
gets his first.
Gets his first of the playoffs. Face-off controlled by Rochester. Dance picking his way to the timeline.
Dance is a great player in loose balls, Joe, and he's a real antagonizer out there. We talked about him. We talked about him before.
Reaching around to knock the ball out was Pat Coyle. Watson gives it back to Coyle. Up the middle it comes for Colin Doyle. Doyle has scored twice thus far. He looks to see if anyone's coming off that Rochester bench and behind him. Now tries to make a move inside with the shot. Scores! Over the shoulder, Colin Doyle has the hat trick in the first quarter.
He's on fire, Joe. You see, when Toronto started the game off with those 6 shots, and nobody could beat Paddy O'Toole. Well, Doyle's been the only one. He's 3 for 3 on his shots. He's got a hot hand, and when a guy has a hot hand, he's got to keep shooting. It's just a nice outside shot. And when a guy's hot like that, he's got to keep shooting, Joe, because it works into the goalie starts thinking about it too.
1:27 left in the quarter. Toronto leads Rochester 5-2. And 2 quick Toronto goals after Malowski had narrowed the gap to 3-2.
It's important to finish this quarter strong too. Just like hockey, you always want to finish a period strong.
Hazen gets it ahead, and Bullen bullies his man into the far boards.
And Terry's been looking sharp out there today.
Has he ever?
He's made some nice hits.
He's had a long day at the office.
Yeah.
With his daughter being born. He and his wife Corey, now a playmate for Dexter in the family. Here's Stroop. Hurd goes to the net, but the pass was high, even for Gill as well, who was cruising in there. Gill is wrapped to the floor there by Reggie Thorpe. Now here is Hazen bringing it out. Drops it back. Mearns looking inside, dishes off with a shot, and that was stopped by Bob Watson. Coyle with the rebound, and the long outlet pass for Bullen. Bullen trying to work his way up the right wing. Terry is pretty well in ingratiated himself in a defensive mode, but he's got some great offensive talents as well.
He does.
Squire to Toll.
We were talking earlier, Joe. Terry played junior B in Aurelia. One year he scored 50 goals and 100 assists in a 20-game season.
And now we get some action down in front of goaltender Patty O'Toole as the quarter ends, and Kim Squire and Mike Hazen having some words, as there has been a lot of collisions in this one, and we're only a quarter into it.
Back here at Maple Leaf Gardens, we're ready to get ready with the second quarter. It is 5-2 for the Toronto Rock, and the difference offensively has been the Popeye man, Colin Doyle. 3 goals tonight so far. What's been working for you?
Just trying to put the ball in the net and make the best of my opportunities. So far, he's been guessing on me a little bit, and I've been able to make the best of my opportunities.
Not only that, you've received a couple of terrific passes from the captain, Jim Veltman.
Well, it's nice to play with one of the best players in the world. That doesn't hurt, that's for sure.
All right, thank you very much. Good luck. Second quarter just about to get underway. Let's go upstairs to Brian and Joe.
Joe, Colin was saying how that sometimes the goalie starts guessing, and that's what starts happening when a guy's got a hot hand against a goalie. I know that Bobby Watson hates when Darius Kilgore shoots on him, and the same sort of thing happens. And often goalies will tell their defensive players, don't let this guy shoot. Even if you have to give another guy a better shot.
Feel better about somebody else.
Exactly.
Yeah? He's got my number, and I'd rather have someone else shoot.
It's like they might be redoing this face-off here, Joe.
This has been easily the most physical game we've seen. I mean, as far as body contact is concerned, I would think.
Yes, and these players know each other well.
Too well.
A lot of teammates out here. A lot of guys that are teammates in the summer.
Graham bodies Kilgore. The ball on the floor is scooped up and sent back for Hazen. Veltman ran over Hollenbach. Now here's Kilgore. Bounce pass. And Sudan dishes it off. Bomberry into Kilgore. Pass inside. The ball on the carpet. And Watson's going to scoop it up and bring it back into the goal crease. But we have a whistle here.
I think the referee's calling some minor interference on the hold there. They felt that somebody was holding the Rochester player from the loose ball.
Fresh 30 on the clock as well. Darius Kilgore. Dwayne Jacobs. Now to the captain, Mearns. Mearns inside, and paying for that move inside was Dwayne Jacobs, and another big hit. Darius Kilgore is rather upset with the treatment that he got there.
There's 2 big hits on that play there, Joe.
Kilgore and Rory Graham. And the discussion continues. Kilgore is playing despite a very painful hip.
Yeah, Joe, Darius has got a degenerative hip injury, and this will probably be his last year playing. And that's one of the reasons Buffalo traded him at the end of the season. Once Buffalo was eliminated from the playoffs, it was almost they felt they owed it to him to trade him to a contender.
So Darius Kilgore.
And Toronto's got a penalty. They gave Rory a penalty on that, and I was kind of surprised because I never saw the original call. It didn't seem like the call was made till after the wrestle.
Second penalty for Graham. 3rd straight power play for Rochester, but they've been scored on shorthanded on the first 2. Sedan. Bad pass, but controlled there and saved by Rusty Kruger. Hollenbeck gets it up top on the right side. Now an inside move and a shot is stopped by Watson. Coyle trying to run out of trouble, looks up the floor, has the ball knocked out from behind, and now here's a 3-on-2 coming the other way. Powell takes it back of the net. A pass is partially deflected. Sudan for Hollenbeck. Casey Powell. Powell against the floor. Couldn't withstand the pressure there from Pat Coyle.
Great work by Coyle. It was Casey Powell who knocked Pat Coyle down the last time, and Pat Coyle got him back there.
Thrown down the floor by Bullen, and now here's Rochester right back with the power play with a minute to go in it. Change of offensive players for Coach Paul Day.
The Toronto players are tired out here, Joe.
Bullen intercepts and is in desperate need of a change.
Exactly.
Veltman will buy them some floor and some time.
Dan Stroop was the only set of fresh legs up there, and Terry gave him the ball because Terry knew he'd been on too long, too tired to run the ball up the floor.
Kimbo Squire with 36 seconds left in this power play as Veltman goes to the bench. Gill. Inside move, trying to go one-on-one inside, and it's turned over, and the ball's back on the carpet. Unable to reach it is Chris Langdale, but they're going to give him the ball because of some holding there by Kurt Malosky.
And Toronto should be able to kill the rest of this penalty here with only 20 seconds left.
30 on the clock. They get a fresh 30 to shoot.
So they'd be wise just to stand out and kill the remaining time. And they will.
Burnaby BC's Chris Gill dishing it back to Kim Squire. Squire on the outside. The penalty is over, and Graham is back onto the floor. Toronto at full strength. And a shot that is handled easily there by O'Toole. Long outlet, but is over the head of the intended receiver, Patrick McCready.
He's going to get run here.
Watson. A little hit from McCready. Now the ball up the floor for Squire.
McCready made a lot of friends the last game he played here.
Now Doyle, a nice pass inside. Stroop with the head fake, doesn't shoot it. Now runs into some traffic with Dance. Far side for Russ Hurd. Hurd trying to push his way into the slot.
This is a mismatch, Joe. Russ Hurd on Kevin Dance.
Big guy is Hurd. Doyle couldn't go to the net, and has time run out? No, a foot inside the crease. I guess Colin Doyle's foot got in there. Now Dance and Hurd, and there is the long and short of it. Russ Hurd at 6'4". Kevin Dance on a real good day, 5'6".
Exactly. Have a look at Kevin Dance before and after. They won't allow him to wear the helmet during the game, and he really wanted to, but.
Now Squire, a ball into the goal crease, rolling down is Watson. Where's the ball? It's underneath all of that humanity.
Withholding the ball. We're going black ball.
You heard the official.
You saw it. The ball was loose in the crease there, Joe, and Bobby Watson didn't know where it was for a few seconds. And unlike hockey, they don't call you for they don't call a penalty shot for diving on the ball.
10:52 to go, second quarter. Pass inside. Bullen had his man marked rather well as Dwayne Jacobs couldn't get it, and the over and back will give Toronto the ball.
There's been a bit of a lull in the game this quarter, Joe. No goals scored so far this quarter.
And I think a timeout is called on the floor. The Toronto Rock 5, the Rochester Knighthawks 2.
I am the Rocky Mountains. I am its heights. I am its valleys. I am its rage, its order, its peace. What do I know from standing here 100 million years? Try not to date your best friend's sister. Avoid tight-fitting undergarments.
Co-owner of the Toronto Rock and a lacrosse brand, Mike Johnson. Of course, they'll be busy tomorrow night. As an owner, you're happy to see the house packed?
Well, I'm happy to see them in the championship. You know, it's been quite a fun year, I think, for everybody involved. And, you know, I'm a fan myself, and I think it's just great for Toronto and lacrosse. I think it's really caught on really quick.
Mike, how about yourself? You enjoyed this game?
Absolutely, it's good to see them out in front here. It's a great atmosphere in here. The crowd seems really enjoying it, so it's fun.
Maybe you can score 3 tomorrow night like Colin Doyle. You can get a couple of other goals as well. Make it 5-2 over the Flyers tomorrow, huh?
Just take the win. We'll just go for the win.
All right, let's go back to Brian and Joe.
Thanks, Sunil. Ken and Linda Dryden sitting in behind them, and then wouldn't you know it, Mike Walton would weasel his way into the best seats in the house. Unbelievable. Shaky is just unbelievable. Rochester on the attack with Powell. Casey Powell inside shot taken by Teddy Dowling is handled by Watson. The long outlet. Nicely corralled there, but unable to contain it there was Chris Gill. Gill has his man to the boards. Powell has it back of the net and dishes it off to O'Toole.
It's easy to spot Casey Powell out there, Joe, with the socks pulled up high in the number 99. He's got great footwork out there. You'll see he'll try to isolate guys and go one-on-one, but Toronto won't let that happen.
Here is Tim Sudan. Again, the ball on the floor. This time it is Malosky who is able to control it. Passes inside. Again, it's on the floor, and Beltman, or at least Squire, and Coyle able to get it free for goaltender Watson, who misfires on his pass up the floor for Glenn Clark.
Toronto's really moving the ball up the floor fast, and they're pushing it. Sometimes they're looking like they're a little bit too aggressive getting the ball up the floor there, Joe.
9:17, and we're without a goal thus far here in the second quarter. And Coach Paul Day, who by day is a policeman in St. Catharines, has called a timeout for the Rochester Knighthawks to discuss things here. Each team gets 2 timeouts per half. This game really has caught on in Toronto. There's no question. They started with about 9,000 their opening night, and it has really caught on. And if you're around the neighborhood after the game, this is the spot to be. The Hotel of the Rock, the Primrose Best Western, in the heart of downtown Toronto. And after the games, they have had a full house in there. And the crowd has been as rabid lacrosse fans as we have seen. This place has been jumping right from the first game of the regular season, and they've gone 6 in a row and now 7 without a loss.
Yeah, and here you see, Joe, the makeup of the Rochester team. They have 9 Canadians, 4 Native North Americans, and 4 Americans. And it's interesting to note of those Americans, 3 of them played in the Canadian League last summer.
Another whistle here by the officials. They want to reset the 30-second clock. Grant Spees is in charge of the shot clock. As we mentioned, Mike Ventura of Boston is the crew chief. Roy Condon of Boston, or of Baltimore. Ventura's from Baltimore.
And Joe, you see 7 of these players on Rochester were members of the Mann Cup Brampton Excelsiors last summer, and they played with Jimmy Veltman, Chris Langdell, and Dino Harrison of the Toronto Rock. So these teammates in the summer are bashing each other out here in the winter.
So 10 of the Mann Cup winners are on the floor here tonight.
Exactly. And I was watching, Joe, during the timeout there, I was watching Coach Paul Day of Rochester, and he was very animated in his discussion with the team. He actually played for Les Bartley on the Buffalo Bandits when they won the championship in '92, and he became the assistant coach of Rochester. And Rochester won the championship 2 years ago, and when he was the assistant coach. Last year was his rookie season as the head coach, and they've played very well. He has a good winning record for them. And he's not afraid to assert his authority. One of the top players on the team, Ted Dowling, they fly in from Dallas, much like the BC flights. They fly him in from Dallas. He's been transferred there.
Just getting the 30-second clock to count down to 21 seconds before we can resume play, and that has been completed.
Here you see they've been very consistent, Joe. A good record, no season under 500 since entering the league. In fact, they were in the championship game the first season in the league, although they lost to Philly in overtime.
Nairn's inside move, and Watson stops that and is able to pull the ball into the crease to hold on.
To finish my point from earlier, Joe, Teddy Dowling flew in from Dallas for a game to find out he wasn't playing, and Paul Day said to him, "I don't care where we're flying you from, you still have to perform." And Teddy's really picked up his game since that point, but I think Paul was sending a message to Teddy and the rest of the team. He wants performance from everybody.
Veltman outside Langdale inside for Doyle, trying to hold the ball outside, but the time will run out. Good defense there from Rochester, and we're still without a goal here in the second quarter.
And you see, oh, here, nice
play by Jimmy Beltman. Inside move, Colin Doyle scores!
What a play by Jim Beltman on that. Jim Beltman suckered his teammate Patty O'Toole into passing the ball up the floor, because as soon as that ball was in the air, you're going to see it. Jim is watching this as the ball. I think the ball has come. Actually, it wasn't Patty O'Toole, but it was a defender who passed it up to Darius Kilgore.
Beltman just timed it perfectly.
Yep, and there you see. I don't think Colin Doyle has missed on a shot so far. He's got 4 shots. But see what Beltman is so good at is he'll make somebody look open. He'll give them the room, and he's ready, because as soon as that pass is there, he's charging. So you can't really blame the defender, because Darius Kilgore looked like he was very open, but that's Jimmy's anticipation. We always talk about that.
He giveth and he taketh away.
Exactly.
Veltman with it again, inside, and standing up nicely there was O'Toole. Now back come the Knighthawks. Sudan inside, stop, rebound in the goal crease, and it is smothered with the ball turned over here to.
And that was a big save.
Rochester Knighthawks, I think.
Ted Dowling came off that bench very hard and got open and got the shot away. Big save by Bob Watson.
Here is a chance outside for Dowling. Passes inside. Casey Powell with the fake. Powell with the behind the back pass. Ball on the rug, and Squire has it behind the Toronto net. Quick pass ahead for Veltman, waiting for some offense to come off the bench, and it does, in the person of Stroop. Dan Stroop with Sean Williams moving to the front of the net. Gill takes the outlet pass up high. This is Williams. Scarborough native from inside Toronto, and the pass inside for Gill didn't work. Time running out quickly here. Stroop inside Hurd and trying to get the shot away. Gill, and the clock runs out. The light went on, but it never did go in the net.
Joe, Toronto's playing very smart there. As that 30-second clock was winding down, one of the Toronto offensive players had already gone to the bench to allow Dan Ladouceur to get on the floor. So they're making sure they learned off that fast break. They want to get those changes done quickly.
This is Kilgore. Shot stopped by Watson. Shots on goal favor Toronto 15-13, but it's 6-2 Rock. On the far board, Squire dishes it back.
Toronto's done a good job.
Watson coming way out of the net to outlet.
Toronto's done a good job of getting up the floor to provide a good outlet when their defense gets the ball.
Langdale is stopped there.
Actually, Glenn Clark was open for a breakaway, but Toronto wasn't able to get the good handle of the ball quickly enough.
Dan Teat goes to the bench, and this is Molosky fanning on his pass, gobbled up by Casey Powell. Powell around back of the net, chased by Pat Coyle. Powell has it again. Coyle forces him back into the corner, now gives him a taste of the stick. Shot by Powell didn't work, and now an outlet pass here. Possible breakaway. Toll all alone, still with it, off the shoulder of O'Toole. The speed of Steve Toll standing him in great stead there, but yet another great outlet pass from Jimmy Veltman.
And Toronto's caught them a few times in the last few minutes, Joe, that the Rochester team's been caught flat-footed in the Toronto end after a turnover.
Kruger's shot is stopped, and the rebound to Rory Graham. And a timeout is called on the behalf of Coach Les Bartley and the Toronto Rock, with 5:18 remaining to be played here in the second quarter. The Rock with a 4-goal lead at 6-2.
Joe,
so a big night for Colin Doyle thus far. He has 4 on the evening. This one, however, a big save made by O'Toole.
quarter, 6-2 for the Toronto Rock. With is the head coach, Les Bartley. Les, this is your 6th championship, but it doesn't get old hat, does it?
No, I mean, this is what you played for all year to try and get here, and kind of you're disappointed if you don't.
And you've certainly got the team revved up for this one.
Yeah, the team's playing real well right now. We've got to keep that going. There's a lot of game left yet.
Let's go back upstairs.
Goaltender Watson headed to the bench because it looked like Rochester was going to try to employ a full court press, but as soon as he left for the extra attacker, the Rochester Knighthawks fell back.
That's right, Joe. That's a good way to eliminate the full court press.
Hurd's shot is stopped by O'Toole. The goaltending's been terrific here tonight. Reggie Thorpe quickly down the floor. Inside pass from Mearns. Turned over, loose ball on the carpet. Unable to contain it was McCready, and Watson will make sure that long bouncer doesn't get by him.
And Joe, I'd have to think that some of those passes aren't caught because of the way Toronto's been hitting guys in that end. You saw the few times you saw Darius Kilgore take a big hit, a few of the other guys.
Beltman inside, Doyle this time is stopped by O'Toole. It may be the first time.
And that may be the first time, and he's getting a penalty too, Joe. And
Doyle's getting a penalty for interfering with the goaltender, I guess.
Here you see Les Bartley's had quite a record in this league, Joe. 3-2 in the championships. He's hoping to get his 4th this year.
2 minutes. Delay the game. Goalie interference.
All right.
2 minutes.
That's what the call is from referee Mike Ventura.
And Joe, that's from field lacrosse. You're going to see in this league, you can't interfere with the goalie's stick as he makes the pass. It's a bit different in the Canadian League, but you can't even interfere with the follow-through of a pass. And I think Colin probably forgot for a second, thought he was playing in the summer. But that's a legit call.
Kilgore inside. Watson stops Molosky at the goal crease. Kilgore up top with the shot wide of the net. Rebound for Beltman. Beltman with great speed. Kilgore chasing. Stopped by O'Toole. Beltman down on the carpet, but right back into the play.
2 big saves in a row by O'Toole there, Joe. One on Doyle.
Bomberry with a pass inside. And a good save off Molosky by goaltender Watson. Now back out in front. Shot over top of the goal. Doyle battling in there with Molosky. Bomberry gets it outside. Now Mearns, the captain, to Bomberry. Throw it on the far side for Ted Dowling, who scores over the shoulder. Ted Dowling, who scored 4 against Baltimore to lead Rochester to this final, has his first of the game.
And that was another nice one where you see the skills of the Rochester players in close around the net. It was Kurt Malowski earlier, and here you see Dowling just reach around. It looks like he doesn't have much of an angle, but he's got that. Actually, he went to the short side there. He faked to the far side. You'll see, you have to watch because he does it very quickly. He just pulls Bobby over a little bit, and watch, he'll go to the short side.
Want to welcome back our viewers from Rochester on WB26. I understand we've had some technical difficulties. You just saw Ted Dowling score the Knighthawks' 3rd goal. It's on the power play, and it is a 6-3 Toronto Rock advantage here with 3:29 to go in the first half. Bob Watson getting some equipment adjusted. And so equipment manager Tim Large is out there taking a look as we look at both of these teams very deep on the attack as far as offense is concerned.
Exactly, Joe. And unlike Philly last week with 3 big guys, there's lots of balance here. And Dowling's one of the best. Puts a nice fake, just enough to make Bob Watson move off his post. The goalie, if a goalie's got an angle covered, he'll stay on his post. And the great shooters know how to make a goalie move. They fool the goalie to think they got something far side, and when the goalie moves, they put it in the short side.
Boy, you were right inside that face-off. And you see the action that goes on once that whistle goes. Rochester with control of the ball. Trailing by 3. It is a low-scoring game, and I think we had to expect this. Certainly it is benefiting the Toronto Rock, whose defense has been their key aspect of their successful season. And the hammering on the wall continues as the whistle brings an end to play. And they're going to give the ball to Rochester with a fresh 30 to work with.
Rochester was taking some chances, Joe, When there's a turnover, they've been pressing 4 guys. And because of that, Toronto was getting some fast break opportunities. We'll see if they continue to do that.
Tim Sudan with the shot, but yet another penalty coming to Toronto. They've taken every penalty called in the game. This will be their 5th without a power play opportunity for themselves. So the officials have really clamped down on Toronto, and Squire goes to the penalty box.
We'll have to see what that one was, Joe.
Boy, you would think at about this time the Rock would probably be wise even maybe to take a bit of a dive once in a while, because the officials have really clamped down, and now we get Ladouceur jostling on the far side here, and are they getting penalties?
There's going to be more penalties here. It looks like it's going to be both of them this time, Joe. I never really figured out what that penalty was for on Rod Squires there, Joe.
Dan Ladouceur and
Ted
Dowling going to the penalty box. So Dowling and Ladouceur are off. This is the 5th power play of the game
and
for
you're right,
Rochester.
Joe. Toronto can't continue to take penalties. As good as their penalty killing's been, that you can't keep doing that.
Pass inside, and unable to get that into the net was Molosky. Now a pass inside, scores! Dwayne Jacobs. And the power play has wrestled Rochester back into this game, 6-4.
And Dwayne Jacobs, Joe, has the best shooting percentage in this league. He rarely misses, and part of it's because most of his shots are from in close like that. He's very good at getting open in front of the goalie, and he usually finishes it. You'll see a nice fake there, and in fact he looks like he's covered when he comes in, but he catches that ball. He's very good at catching the ball in traffic, puts on a couple nice fakes, reaches over his shoulder. Dwayne Jacobs played many years for Six Nations, winning 3-man cups there, and he's one of 3 players in Rochester to play every game from the start of the franchise, including playoff games.
He resides in Windsor, Ontario now.
He's studying, he's in a 2nd year of law school, Joe.
Here's O'Toole getting it ahead. Tim Sudan behind the back pass, and they're going to call that over and back, are they not?
Yes. They are. I'm not sure if it was, but that's what they're calling.
Pat Coyle, and a pass for Veltman is turned over, and so a break for the Rock is quickly turned back for an advantage for Rochester. Hazen. Now for Powell. Molosky. Powell going to the front of the net, doesn't get the ball. Gets it in the corner though. Casey Powell. Changing hands
Doyle on Powell.
Doyle trying to center. Powell had to go off a shoulder, and time's going to run out.
Good defense by Toronto.
Terry Bullen knocks the ball right out of Molosky's hands.
Now,
and then Bullen is given a
shot
here. Yes, let's see if, in fact, for the first time in the game, the Toronto Rock are going to the power play.
Terry Bullen took a shot in the head as he walked by the Rochester bench, and it's a dangerous thing to do if you're Rochester and you know the team. The referee has called 5 or 6 penalties in a row. Air watch, I think that's Kurt Malowski. Knowing Kurt, it's probably a bit of an act. You see Rusty Kruger gives Terry a shot in the head.
So the first power play of the game for Toronto, and they have had an outstanding power play this year. 2nd in the league, 43 goals in 80 opportunities, 53.8% has been their efficiency rating in the regular year, and they were wonderful last week. Although they only had 3 opportunities, they scored on 2.
That's right, and Rochester's also dangerous with the shorthanded goals. Joe, you said Toronto led the league. Rochester was also tied with them with 11 shorthanded goals in the regular season. So there's always that danger. They've got some guys who can run. You'll see Pat McCready, he's playing at the top. He's got good speed. He'll be taken off whenever there's a shot.
They've got 1:58 on the clock as far as the time is concerned for the penalty. Now they're going to have to wait and maybe just give it the 2 steamboat, I guess, before it gets going. Not sure. A capacity crowd at Maple Leaf Gardens. Better than 15,000. Viewing the National Lacrosse League Championship game. Joe Bowen along with Brian Shanahan. Your brother's a little busy tonight too, isn't he? Another part owner not here.
That's right.
Shot by Hurd. Blocked. Rebound. Controlled by Squire for Hurd. Goes to Stroop. Stroop, who has been held off the sheet. This is the guy with the hot hand, Colin Doyle. Will he shoot it? No. Hurd will. Scores! Russ Hurd from New Westminster, BC.
Nice, easy shot by Russ Hurd. Russ Hurd really makes these look easy, Joe. He's always, it almost looks like a lazy shot, but he's got such good reach. He can pick corners, reach around a goalie. He is very tough for a goaltender to figure out. And you're going to see Colin Doyle makes the nice pass, and it's just a nice shot to the top corner by Hurd. I think everyone was expecting Colin to take a big shot, and we've seen Russ do that all season long.
In the 2 games against the Knighthawks, Russ Hurd led the Toronto attack with 10 points. So he gets his first goal of the game here and a 7-4 Toronto advantage.
And Russ was second on the team in power play goals, with 8 power play goals this season. Very dangerous from up there.
Minute to go here in the second quarter in the first half. Kilgore fakes the shot, trying to get around Squire, dishes it back in front. Bomberry inside, scores! Nice shot there from Dwayne Jacobs, who gets his second goal of the game.
And you can't leave Dwayne Jacobs that open, Joe. He was up at the top. Toronto collapsed down low, and Dwayne Jacobs was open up high, and you'll see this. When Toronto's down low, nobody's on him, and he gets that nice hard low shot.
So this game that has seen Toronto virtually lead from the outset is narrowing from a 5-2 deficit now to 7-5 as Rochester has fought back.
Yes, this last 46 seconds is crucial. Both teams want to make sure the other doesn't score, and it'd be nice if either team could score a goal.
Veltman with the loose ball. 166 loose balls on the season. The highest for Rochester was 71, so Veltman had more than twice as many. Unable to get to Squire. Submarines. Bomberry there with a hit. And
Rochester's calling timeout.
Discussion go on there. Corey Bomberry got undercut by Kim Squire and cut right down at the knees.
And
Another
Joe,
timeout called here.
Both players from 6 nations, neighbors, know each other very well, but that doesn't matter when once you step out the floor as enemies. 23 seconds left, Joe. Rochester's got the ball. They'll probably pull Patty O'Toole and try to make a play for one last shot.
O'Toole coming back into the goal as we take a look at Russ Hurd and what he's meant to the Toronto Rock this year.
And Joe, you know, we talk about him quietly doing it. I mean, there was never one game where he was totally was shining everybody. It was always the Dan Stroop and Colin Doyle, but Russ Hurd has been very consistent.
And upstairs we've got a lot of the famous faces and names that are around this part of the world because of the National Hockey League playoffs going on. Casey Vanderhoevel to the left. Some guy named Neil up there as well. And along with Bill Veck / Bill Waters, the principal owner and driving force of the Toronto Rock. Ty Domi, a part owner. Brendan Shanahan, Brian's brother, a part owner.
And looks like they're feeling a bit of the tension here, Joe.
Yeah. A couple of them are down in Doe Row, they call it. The other owner.
Those are the good seats.
Yes, indeed. Kilgore. Cross-eye. Good save made there by Watson.
And
now a hit. And things are heating up with 2.6 seconds left to go here in the period. Now we've got Kilgore and Glenn Clark trying to get at one another. And the linesmen are in between. between them, and Clark's
Kruger
got
and
a
Glenn
pretty good
Clark
hand
are trying to get at each other here, Joe.
Kruger's mask. There's sticks and gloves down on the carpet with 2.6 seconds left. At halftime, we will be featuring our plays of the year in the National Lacrosse League, and that will be an entertaining piece of video with all of the goals and hits that have gone on this season.
We'll see if there's going to be any penalties on this, Joe, and I don't think there is.
No, just some friendly discussion.
That's what you got to like about lacrosse.
That's what I've said many times. The rule book in this league is 2 pages thinner than the one used by the World Wrestling Federation.
But they're all going to be back to business.
All right, now they're going to, cool everybody out, send them over to their respective benches, or are we going to get the change of play? Yep.
Pat Coyle making a nice hit there on Kurt Malowski. And you see Roddy Squires, he's getting it from Darius Kilgore.
That hit by Pat Coyle will be highlighted again during our intermission when he's had a number of those this year.
Yeah, well, we're going to be showing some plays of the year. I would imagine we'll see a hit or two by Pat Coyle or Dan Ladouceur.
Bobby Watson making his way slowly over to the Toronto bench as they continue this timeout with 2.6 seconds. They're going to try and get one last shot away. Ed Como is over there making the discussions. He also coaches the McMaster Marauders in the CIAU.
That's right, Joe. And this summer he's also going to be coaching the Brampton Excelsior's Junior A team as the head coach.
6 attackers on the floor for Toronto as Squire is getting nailed right there by
Joe, and we've talked
Patrick
about
McCready.
The Canadian style of lacrosse. This is the Canadian style.
This is it. Yep.
There's a bit more aggressiveness.
Long ball bounces into the goal crease, and there's the horn to end the first half. And here we go with some more in front. Stroop's got his
Pat McCready right in the middle of it with Kim Squires.
Squires got a helmet off. Right to 10s, guys. Let it go.
You heard the referee there, Joe.
Yeah, let's go to the dressing rooms, cool it off.
If anything will get the players separated, it'll be that statement there, right to 10s.
Let's see you back here for the second half. No sense sitting in the penalty box for 10 minutes of the third quarter. And Kim Squires, who is tough as anybody in this league, had his nose buried right in the middle of all of that.
Oh, exactly,
An entertaining first half. And the Toronto Rock will carry a 2-goal lead into the intermission. The big hand has been Colin Doyle with 4 goals of the 7 that the Rock score. And at the end of the half, it is a 7-5 lead over the Rochester Knighthawks. Sunil Joshi standing by with Rochester head coach Paul Day.
Thank you very much, Joe. Coach, this final championship has been everything that you could possibly want, huh?
Yeah, we wanted to come out and play physical because they are a very physical team. We don't want to back down from them at all. We've done that. I think we've done a poor job with the ball control, and I mean, they've got 3 shorthanded against us, which, you know, that's going to hurt big time.
The power play certainly worked for you, though. You've got a bunch of goals there.
Well, you know, it's worked, but we also got scored on. So, I mean, I think we're -1 on the power right now. I mean, obviously, we did score on it, but they've also scored against it. So, I mean, if you come out even or -1 on a power play, that's not good.
Quickly, adjustments to make?
Yeah, I think we have to use our feet a little more, run the ball out of our end. We've got a lot of speed, and we aren't using the speed. They're pressing us, and that's a perfect opportunity for us to use our feet and our speed.
Thank you very much, Paul. Good luck to you. Okay, 7-5 at the end of the first half right here at Maple Leaf Gardens in front of a packed house. We'll be back with halftime festivities at the Gardens in a moment.
Hey, Jimmy, what do you think? We've had a pretty good year this year. Upcoming here, the plays of the year. I can think of a few good plays this year.
Good job inside. Squire in an awful lot of great play. Inside move, finishing. What a goal! The difference here is just the Toronto defense. Looks inside, nice pass inside, Squire! Pat on the back. Loose in front of the net. Oh, what a save! Top heard the rebound, inside play, scores!
Veltman into center to Stroop, back to Veltman with time, down low, all day scores!
Over it. Backhand, right goal, oh my! Nice goal by Tom Marichak.
Stroopers had a few.
Great chance. Down low for Stroop. Scores! Fire scores! Holy Mackinac! He's had a big night.
Yeah, I can remember Doyle having a couple, too.
They don't know what's coming around to the side, and subsequently picks are a big part. Inside.
Beautiful goal.
Colin Doyle over the shoulder. Short-handed. Down low to Colin Doyle. Trying to work here against Paul O'Grady. Number 7's and scoring is Doyle. Last chance here for Doyle. Scores!
Beautiful goal.
Nothing but hemp hut there, and the Rock have their first goal at the Gardens. Two All-Pros battling each other right here. Dish off, inside, score! What a play! Glenn Clark finish it! Over the shoulder he looks, shoots, great save. Big rebound, Squire! Veltman again. Great chance. Down low for Stroop, scores! Goaltender out.
Oh my God.
Oh boy, loose ball, great play, Hurd, down low, oh, Gill, couldn't get it with 11 seconds left, still loose on the floor, scores! The Rock score with 7.3! Holy Mackinac, what a play! Colin Doyle has scored for Toronto!
Yeah, Bobby, a whipper's been good in that this year.
Inside, Berge! No, sir, says Bobby Watson. No, sir, says Bobby Watson. No, sir, says Bobby Watson. And another good save made there by Bobby Watson.
What about that defense? How about Laddie laying a couple big hits down? Yeah, and that Coily Scooter, he can really hit them as well.
That is an arresting move from a police officer from Durham Region.
I am the Rocky Mountains. I am its heights. I am its valleys. I am its rage.
Locker room, 7-5 at the end of the first half, and joining me is Chris Gill. Lots of chatter in here, Chris. Obviously, the first half went pretty well the way you wanted it to go.
Yeah, well, we came out of it with the lead here. You know, some little more breaks both ways. You know, they've been getting some breaks. We haven't been getting as many as we wanted to be getting, but hey, our defense is playing solid. Goaltending is playing great. We just got to keep plugging along, getting those ground balls.
These two teams are said to be the best as far as box across the Canadian game. It's pretty well been that way.
Yeah, well, that's the way it looks right now. They play the great box game. They're pick and rolling. They defend the pick and roll so well. They got great transition. You know, that's what it comes down to. You know, two box cross teams playing for the finals.
Well, that's a tight group here. So what's it going to take in the final half here to win the championship, which is what you're here for?
30 more miles, solid lacrosse. Don't change anything. Keep playing the same style. We'll if we keep plugging along, we should be okay.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
7-5 at the end of the first half. Let's go back upstairs to Joe and Brian.
Thank you very much, Sunil. Well, Chris Gill is on the all-diving team, according to you, Brian Shanahan. You got him in all kinds of trouble out last week with an inference of that. And I know you have a soft spot in your heart for the defensive players that are in this league that don't really get an awful lot of the attention. So we've got the Shanny all-D team here.
That's right, Joe. I was reading on the internet about unsung heroes in the Rock, and I want to make sure these guys aren't unsung any longer. Now, I was only allowed to pick two Toronto players, so I picked Paddy Coyle and Terry Bullen for their hard hitting. Reggie Thorpe, who's out here, you watch him, he's a good strong hitter. Steve Fennell out of Buffalo. Dan Radabow from Philadelphia, we saw him last week, he's steady. And our goaltender, of course, I'm going to pick Bobby Watson. And these guys, these guys, they might be unsung to the media or to the all-star pickers, but in the dressing room of their teams, to the coaching staff, their teammates, they know what they do to help the team.
There's not an awful lot of goals and assists on that team, but then there weren't an awful lot with you anyway, and you're a defensive specialist too.
No, not too many, not too many.
Here's a goal from the first half, and this guy's had a bundle of them as Popeye Doyle scores 4 in the first half of play at the Grand Ole Lady on Carlton Street, Maple Leaf Gardens. The Rock leads the Knighthawks 7-5. Here in Toronto, Joe Bowen along with Brian Shanahan and 15,000 plus in the Grand Ole Lady. And here's a look at the halftime stats.
Yes, Joe, and I'm surprised to see that Rochester's leading on loose balls 36-27, but the big difference is on the power play, 3 for 5. Although Toronto got 2 shorthanded goals, they only have 1 power play. They're 100% on the power play, but they can't be giving up that many penalties.
So we start the second half. Colin Doyle has had the big hand with 4 goals and 1 assist in this National Lacrosse League Championship game. And these two teams have played tight all through their 2 games. The Hawks winning on a Mearns overtime winner down in Rochester, and the Rock winning here.
And you see Dan Stroop, remember he scored 5 goals the last time Rochester was at Maple Leaf Gardens. He's been quiet so far, but there's still a half to go. And it looked like Toronto was pulling away for a while there, Joe, and Dwayne Jacobs brought Rochester back into it. He's got 2 goals and 2 assists to lead them.
And Stroop has scored 20 goals here on the floor at Maple Leaf Gardens as we're underway, and in that total were 3 scored here in the semifinal last week against Philadelphia.
And already Bobby Watson's been asked to make a big stop there off the face-off. There, Tim Soudan got a breakaway, and Bobby made a big save.
Doyle waiting for teammates to arrive. Here's Steve Toll getting it back. Langdale with a behind-the-back pass for Toll. He tries to fend off the defender, and it is gobbled up there by Kevin Dance. Goaltender O'Toole with a long outlet pass and a good one. Corralled by Dan Teat. Teat works it down now with a pass on the left wing side. Kilgore. And couldn't get the shot through.
There on that pass.
Toll intercepts, and now here's Toll bringing it back up the floor. He and Powell are probably the 2 quickest players on the floor.
They're probably the 2 fastest guys out there. But Casey Powell looks like he's got the very fast.
Hurd inside and
step there, Joe. Sometimes it's not just speed running up the floor. It's the first step that really counts.
Dan Teat, 15,971 is the attendance here tonight. That is tremendous. They're wedged in here tighter than a heifer's cheeks at fly time.
Just what I was going to say, Joe.
Bouncing shot taken by Dowling, and it goes into the corner. Gobbled up on the loose ball, and Squire is quick to bring it back up the floor. Off the bench to his brother, Kim Squire. And Kimbo now starts to set up the offense. Kim Squire for Langdale, and the shot was over top of the net. No scoring thus far here in the 3rd quarter, and we're approaching the 3rd minute play.
Here's Casey Powell had a good step in there.
Around the head of Rusty Kruger. The bouncing shot goes wide. Rebound in front of the net. Still loose on the floor. Controlled then by Kruger. A shot taken that went wide of the net by Bomberry. Kept in, and a long shot juggled and held by Bobby Watson.
Joe, and you saw Casey Powell got a good step where it looked like he had a lane to the net, and luckily for Toronto, the one guy chasing him was Steve Toll. Here you see the nice hit. Powell taking the long shot, getting it on net with a few seconds left in the shot clock.
Gill goes to the net, but Williams couldn't get him the ball. Now Williams looks to shoot, dishes off to Hurd. Hurd with the shot, and that was just wide.
That didn't miss by much, Joe.
Rebound bounces into the Rochester bench, so it'll be Knighthawks ball with 12:04 to go in the 3rd period.
We heard Paul Day in his interview at the end during the intermission, Joe. He said he wants his team to run more with the ball. especially when Toronto's trying to press. He wants them to run the ball up the floor.
Clark had ideas of a fast break himself, but dishes off to Coyle, who will head to the bench as the offensive 5 come on for the Rock.
Now the Toronto will play that 2-man game with Doyle and Squires. It's worked so well this season.
Doyle cradling the ball. Thought about shooting, but is being hampered by Reggie Thorpe.
Dan
Thorpe runs into Squire. And I think a moving pick here is the violation. Squire just went right after.
That was almost a cross check to the head, let alone a moving pick. Dan Teat was doing a very good job on Squires there.
Ball thrown ahead for Beltman. Inside pass for Coyle, didn't work. The pace has been terrific. Dowling back up the floor for Rochester. Trailing by 2.
Dowling's got a good inside move to the net, too. He likes to go one-on-one.
He's being bothered by Bullen, and the ball is picked off.
Great play by Glenn Clark.
Yep.
3-on-1.
2-on-1, make it a 3-on-1. Clark, though, pulls up. Now has no one to go to, so he dishes it outside for Dan Stroop, who scores! Danny Stroop, the firefighter from Vancouver, has lifted the Rock to an 8-5 lead.
Joe, we were just talking about Dan Stroop being quiet. He scored 5 goals the last time Rochester was at the Gardens. He scores a nice one here. A great play by Glenn Clark. He didn't try to force that 2-on-1, 3-on-2. Passes it out. Just a nice shot by Dan Stroop. Earlier in the game, Toronto was forcing some of these plays, but this time Clark decides set it up. Makes a nice play, and Glenn Clark gets the 2nd point of the game on a nice shot by Stroop.
So Danny Stroop makes it 8-5 Toronto. Bomberry with the face-off 1. Sudan outside and a loose ball, and Beltman's vacuum has it again. The Dirt Devil captain of the Toronto Rock. Stroop. Far side, Williams.
Sean Williams has got to get his shot away.
Here he comes, and he can't get that away as it's knocked off his stick. Rochester ball.
Sean Williams has got a great outside shot, and I don't think he's got one yet today. When he shoots, good things happen. And Stroop, Sean Williams and Chris Gill have got to get that 2-man game going of their own.
The shot clock is not working at the far end. It is at the end that is in play, and there is 10 seconds left in it, but Bob Watson is looking at a shot clock that says 30 seconds left. He doesn't bother with that. He makes the save.
That's right.
And now it'll turn over, and now both clocks are operating correctly. Ball turned over, though, and Darius Kilgore.
I think Darius Kilgore, Kim Squires at the bench. We're going at it, Joe. They still are.
Squires got his bit of a disadvantage because he's got that jersey pulled over his head, and Kilgore gives him a little tap with the stick on the way through. Let's see what happens here. Kilgore's being sent to the penalty box.
At least Darius is getting one. I don't think Kim is getting one. You're supposed to have the right of way to your own bench, Joe. You're not supposed to interfere with guys going to the bench. So usually when there's a scuffle in the bench area, they'll give it to the guy who's interfering with somebody going to his own bench.
Welcome back to the Gardens. With me is Dan Stroop, the goal scorer. Let's talk about that goal. How important was it to get one this early?
Well, that was a fairly important one. We need a few more, though, to keep the momentum our way. They got trapped down bottom there, and I was left alone up top, and short side was wide open, so I got lucky there.
Okay, you got a power play coming up, so let's go back upstairs.
Thanks, Sunil. You're picking right up from Paul Hendrick about getting involved, and we invite you to join us on Sportsnet for the BC TELUS Canadian Tour Weekly, which premieres May the 11th here on Sportsnet.
Very important time for both games, for both teams here, Joe.
Second of the game for Toronto. Her shot is smothered by O'Toole.
Now you see Pat McCready breaking up hard. He's a fast runner, gets lots of short-handed goals.
Now we're going to hatch that one, and we've managed to pick that out of Patty O'Toole's paraphernalia.
Oh, look at
Loose
that.
ball stolen by Kim Squire. Backhand shot stopped by O'Toole. What a great play by Kimbo Squire.
Great steal, and how many times have we seen him do that?
Hustles to the bench to get the defensive compliment on the floor. Boy, the hustle of this young man. He is a delight to watch.
And Randy Mearns is the guy he stole that ball from. I bet you that's probably not happened to him too many times in his life.
This is Powell.
Powell
against Ladiseur.
Powell can be a dangerous penalty killer with his speed here.
Dumped it over top of the net. Molosky, Ladiseur is sitting on Powell. It's going to be a little tough to score under those circumstances. And then he throws him over with a front roll from pike position. Here's the play by Squires. What a nice between-the-legs shot. And O'Toole made the save.
He's got all the moves, Joe.
Power play has 54 seconds left in it.
I think Kim Squires might not even be full grown, Joe. He's only 19 years old.
Youngest in the league. Doyle to Veltman. Fakes and shoots and scores! Captain Jimmy Veltman. Another power play goal. It's 9-5 Toronto.
Little nasty stuff going on after that goal, Joe. Pat McCready's trying to get somebody. You can hear the referee tell him to let him go.
Colin Doyle underneath the pile, but Jim Veltman has scored on the power play, and the Rock are 2 for 2 with the man advantage.
And I've often said, Joe, I think Jim Veltman is the smartest player on the floor at any time. And quite often, he's such a great passer that sometimes he's guilty of overpassing. And this year, especially in the last month or so, you see he's been keeping the goalies honest. Everybody's expecting him to pass. He's got to take that shot once in a while, and he's got a good shot. It's not the hardest shot, but he's got a good off-speed shot, and he's able to change directions at the last second.
And when you're, as you say, looking for the pass, sometimes he can find you moving. As we take a look at what he's done, winning championships in this league.
And not only this league, Joe, he's won the Man Cup last summer. He's won 3 Man Cups now for Brampton. He is the best leader I've ever played with. And we talked about Terry Pullen being a new father. Jim Veltman and his wife Teresa just had a son, Christopher, about a month ago.
Here is Squires! Scores! What a goal from Squire.
Joe, and a nifty little move at the last second. He's on his wrong side, doesn't have much of an angle, fakes the shot, he forces Patty O'Toole to stand still for the second to go around him. Watch, you can see it better here. Fake and around. Beautiful
Rod
play.
Squire, who is utilized more so in a defensive role with 3 goals and 12 points during the regular year, scores a big goal there to increase the Rock lead to 10-5.
There you see.
Graham.
The loose balls, he would be leading the team of Rochester on loose balls. Just a lightweight, 150 pounds, but like his brothers, got a lot of guts and a big heart. You don't have to be big to play this game, Joe, but you have to have a lot of heart.
You have to be as tough as a junkyard dog. You're going to play at that size, though, and he is. Toll fakes, got the shot, but it was blocked, then rolled it into the goal crease, and there is O'Toole to scoop it up, and Toll is battling here and having words with one of the Rochester players. And O'Toole and Toll are going at it. This started from right in front of the net.
Both trying to get the helmets off.
The helmets off, and here we go. Toll, right hands. He popped, dance a couple times, and heads to the penalty box.
Joe, we speak of players that are small in size. Kevin Dance is another one, 5'6" maybe, but he's a tough player. I'd say Steve Toll got the better of Dance in that battle, but Dance is trying to pick up his team.
This starts right behind the play, right here.
You see,
and the discussion carried all the way up the floor. Toll backpedaling, dance coming on, and the dance card is filled, and here we go. And Toll trying to get that helmet off. His popped off fairly quickly. And about 2 or 3 blows in the exchange. And Steve Toll goes to the penalty box. 7:30 to go, third quarter, and we've had a little of everything in this one.
And Steve Toll claimed victory to that battle.
Kruger inside, and it is off Watson, but the referee says it was in the crease. And the feelings are heating up here even more. There is a scrum almost after every whistle.
Yes, and you'll probably see Toronto try to pull out of those now, because it would be wise for them, and I think the coaching staff will be telling them to don't get in it. Don't do anything to change the momentum that's in their favor right now.
Oh, Stroop took a wicked two-hander there from Dowling. Hurd. Stroop trying to move to the inside. Gives Dowling a bit of the pick and roll. Hurd with a shot. Off the move, and it was off O'Toole, and the ball's on the floor with a fresh 30 on the clock for Toronto.
Good loose ball by Jimmy Veltman.
Pass across, Stroop, fake shoots right into the chest of goaltender O'Toole. But what a great fake from Veltman, and a long cross-floor pass to Dan Stroop.
Exactly, and O'Toole got out high to take away that angle. See the hidden ball trick here, Joe, I think. Oh, they fooled me. I'm not sure.
Jacobs has it, I think.
No, Darius Kilgore has it.
Kilgore has it. He faked me too. And a collision to the net.
I was watching Casey Powell go to the bench. I thought he had the ball.
And here we go with some more shoving in front of Bobby Watson as Glenn Clark digs himself up off of the floor. And there's Watson down with the ball. Sunil Joshi standing by with the captain, Jimmy Veltman.
Well, Jimmy Veltman had to get back on the floor. They lead this one 10-5 with 6:26 to go. Let's go back upstairs.
Joe, that's the way it goes.
He could have answered the question himself, couldn't he? It would have been a great interview. We've tried
Sometimes
those,
you're called to duty.
So how's it going, Jim? Fine. How are you? Fine. Bullen is going to the box after that exchange. This is the 6th power play then for Rochester. And we've got some helmet repairs that are going to have to be made by equipment manager Tim Large.
Well, and that's another reason Toronto's got to try to stay away from some of those scrums, because just the way the score is now, sometimes referees can't help but give the team that's down the chance.
A shot stopped by Watson. The rebound still on the carpet. Watson dives, and he's got control of the ball. No, I agree with you. When you got a 10-5 lead, and they've already, the Rochester Knighthawks have had 6 power plays to the Rocks 2. I think it's only human nature.
Exactly, Joe. That's what I was going to say. You just...
Langdale. 10 seconds on the shot clock. They'll try to kill off as much time as possible, and now many of them are heading to the benches. Langdale takes it to the net. In the crease violation.
He shot that one off
to
the noggin of his former teammate there, Joe. Not a whole lot of behind the shot, though.
1:13 left in the power play, and the ball is whistled in. Bomberry bringing it up. Corey Bomberry for the Knighthawks. To Jacobs. Back to Bomberry. A shot scores over the shoulder of Bob Watson. Corey Bomberry.
It's a very hard shot there, Joe. Bomberry really did a number on this team last year with his outside shot. This year he's been hurting them more with the assists, and in fact he led Rochester in points. But this time he just shows what a nice outside shot he has. Toronto's pulled down a bit. Dewey Jacobs pulls them down to allow Bomberry to step in to get that shot from a good spot.
10-6, and another power play goal for Rochester. It is their 4th of the game. They've had 2 shorthanded goals scored against them.
But Toronto's got to stay out of that penalty box. Rochester's got 6 goals and 4 of them are power play. So you can see if Toronto can stay out of that box, they're 5-on-5. They're playing great.
A timeout on the floor. The Toronto Rock lead by 4 in the 3rd period at the Gardens.
It's 10-6. Jim Veltman, the captain, joins me. Your goal. Let's talk about that. How big was that?
Well, I guess we need it at that point because every power play we got to capitalize just like they are. So that's the way this game goes. You got to capitalize on power play.
All right, let's get back to the upstairs to the action.
Here's the attendance tonight, 15,691, a sellout at Maple Leaf Gardens. And what a success story it has been as lacrosse has really caught the imagination of people here in Toronto. Clark has his helmet knocked off. He has to get rid of the ball, and a penalty is coming here to the Knighthawks. Coyle will hold the ball as Watson has gone to the bench for an extra attacker. Stroop.
15 seconds left in the shot clock here, Joe. They'll try to work one of their plays. 6-on-5.
Langdell, Doyle, inside, intercepted and held, and it will blow the whistle here for the power play that will be just the 3rd of the game for Toronto. 4:40 left to go, 3rd period.
Holding, 2 minutes.
Holding call to Corey Bomberry.
Jim Veltman was saying there that they got to score in a power play. Here you're going to see it. I think he gave him a bit of a headlock when Clark went down for the ball. But Toronto's got to score here, especially if Rochester's going to be scoring on their power play. Toronto's got to play tit for tat.
Doyle on the outside, faked the shot. Veltman scored from there on the last power play. Doyle, Veltman moves, Hurd gets the screen and the shot away. That hit O'Toole right on the shoulder and the side of the helmet. Loose ball is down on the floor, and it'll be Rochester ball.
I think O'Toole actually saved that with the butt end of his stick, Joe.
Boy, those guys are built pretty near square with all that equipment on, aren't they? McCready.
Some of them are quite small when they take all the equipment off, Joe. They look like big fat guys with that on.
Yep. I had a nice chat with Pat O'Toole Wednesday night during a press conference here at Maple Leaf Gardens. He went through quite a regimentation in his pregame warm-up ritual prior to the game as well. Jacobs trying to take it down low. Sudan with a shot blocked. Veltman as the ball is turned over with the time violation. And
here you're going to see the save, Joe. Russ Hurd takes the shot, and O'Toole, the butt end of his stick, takes up a lot of net. He's hard to score on the outside shots. And in fact, Pat O'Toole was cut by Buffalo early in the season. He was in no man's land for a while there.
Here's Hurd. Doyle behind the back pass. Squire. Doyle missed Hurd with the pass, and it is gobbled up by Teat. Dan Teat loses the ball to Kimbo Squire. Squire in for Gill. Gill in front of the net. Stroop. Shot wide. Big try there. Doyle back at the bench is able to grab it with a fresh 30 on the clock. Doyle. Hurd for Kimbo Squire. Now to Doyle again. His shot, good save by O'Toole, but another fresh 30 for Toronto.
O'Toole's just taking up a lot of space in the net on those outside shots.
Penalty is over. Hurd shot is wide. Rebound with Bomberry off the penalty box, but it bounces into the Rochester bench. So it'll be Knighthawks ball with 2:35 to play here in the 3rd quarter, and Toronto leading 10-6.
So that's first power play Toronto's had that Rochester's killed. So Toronto's now 2 for 3 on the power play.
Kruger working against Bullen, got inside but couldn't get it underneath the stick. Bob Watson.
More rough stuff here, Joe. Patty Coyle and Tim Sudan going at it.
Rusty Kruger is an Orangeville native, resides now in St. Catharines. He had 49 loose balls this season, 25 points, 17 of which were goals. And there's all kinds of chatter as people are heading to the penalty box.
I think the referee's trying to put an end to some of this now.
Sudan and Coyle have gone to the box.
And that wasn't much worse than a lot of stuff we saw earlier, Joe, but I think the referee is trying to send a message that he's had enough of the scrums after the whistles.
Yeah, I think he's running out of patience. Veltman, Steve Toll, Colin Doyle. What a game he's had. 4 goals along with an assist. Dishes inside for Veltman. That didn't work. Langdale racing after his man, knocks him down. A penalty is coming to Toronto. Randy Mearns waits for a 6th attacker to come onto the floor. 1:46 left to play in the period as Mearns stumbled and fell, and a shot scores over the shoulder of Watson.
Darius Kilgore.
Darius Kilgore makes it 10-7.
That's his 2nd goal, Joe, with an extra man on the floor. Just a nice hard outside shot. And I told you earlier, he's one of the players that Bobby Watson doesn't like to shoot. He's got one of the best, hardest shots, and he just picks a corner there.
He scored the first goal for Rochester to tie the game 1-1 on a power play, and now with an extra attacker on the floor with a delayed penalty call coming, he scores his 2nd of the game. 10-7. And we're in for a great finish here in the National Lacrosse League Championship game, led 10-7 by Toronto.
Toronto's got to be careful, Joe, not to be over aggressive on trying to get the ball back. That time I think Chris Langdale could have probably contained. I think he wanted to get the ball back, and there's a few times Toronto's been guilty of that this season.
Here's Kilgore taking it to the net, and it is stopped, and Clark, wanting to move the ball up the floor quickly, has it back of his own goal. Squire gets it on to Stroop. Stroop runs to the near side.
Good press here by Rochester.
Bouncing ball to the far side, controlled by Gill. Steve Toll with it now. 13 seconds on the shot clock. Stroop got a bit of a pick from Hurd. Couldn't take it inside, and then his pass is gobbled up by Kilgore. Darius Kilgore gets it ahead. Bounce pass for Dowling with some room to maneuver. Dowling taking a couple of hacks there from Dan Ladouceur. Bomberry took the shot, and it's from well out, and it's off Watson wide of the net. Fresh 30 on the clock, however. Clark finally
great work on the loose ball by Glenn Clark.
Now the shot clocks are not working. The ball goes to Squire, and a penalty is coming here to the Rochester Knighthawks.
Once again, we'll get to see Toronto's 6-on-5 work.
Shot bounces wide, and the horn will signal that the shot clocks did not reset. But a penalty will come here to Rochester. It's the end of the 3rd quarter, and the Toronto Rock with a 3-goal lead to carry into the 4th period here at Maple Leaf Gardens.
Joe, and it's one of those games where the Toronto's led by 2 or 3 goals most of the game. You just don't feel like the lead is safe.
We're going downstairs to Sunil Joshi. Sunil?
Thank you, Joe. With me is Buff McCready. Buff, 3 goals deficit at this point. What's got to be done in the final quarter for you guys?
Just got to taking it to them. You know, we're a great offensive team, and guys got just relax, control the ball, and we'll be there.
Anything that they've done in this game at all that surprised you?
Strong goaltending, strong defense. We knew that coming in, so we just got to keep pushing them.
Buff, good luck to you in the 4th quarter.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, 1 quarter to play right here at Maple Leaf Gardens. The score is 10-7 for the Toronto Rock against Rochester. Back in a moment.
4th quarter, a reminder the Primrose Best Western in downtown Toronto is the Hotel of the Rock. We get the face-off to start the 4th period.
Joe, and Toronto starting 4th quarter with a power play. Teddy Dowling took a penalty right near the end of the quarter there.
Bomberry was upset with himself when he tried to dish the ball off to a teammate coming out of the bench and missed.
Who had dropped his stick. I think that's what the problem was there, Joe.
Veltman.
Well, Rochester killed the last Toronto power play. This is a big kill if they can do it here.
Veltman inside, fakes. This is Doyle. Veltman. Hurd. Stop. Rebound. shot by Doyle, and it is stopped again. There's ball on the floor once more. Veltman with a loose ball. Oh, a quick backhand pass, tried to spring Gill. Doyle. Now to Veltman. Berg gives it back to the captain. Here is Gill with it again to Veltman. He'll pass. Veltman had it blocked, gets it back again. Gill inside, out to Hurd, inside for Gill, and it was just out of his reach.
Toronto's got to take the outside shots. I know.
Now a loose ball the other way, scores!
Nice goal by Darius Kilgore. Dwayne Jacobs coming off the bench.
Whoa, a short-handed goal for Rochester, and it is 10-8, and that is a huge goal.
Very huge, Joe. We talked about whether they could kill the penalty or not. Here you see the pass up the floor. Dwayne Jacobs came off the bench. Nice fake. This is his 6th point, too. He's got 3 goals and 3 assists now. The leading scorer for Rochester during the regular season. I was saying earlier, Joe, I think Toronto's got to continue to take the outside shots. Sometimes when a goalie saves them, you start thinking twice before you shoot, but I think they got to keep taking those outside shots.
More action along the wall as Squire brings the ball into the Rochester end. Veltman will take charge. Hurd and Veltman exchanging the ball. Down low to Dan Stroot. Gill in front of the net. Good save made by O'Toole.
O'Toole just stood his ground, just taking up a lot of net in there.
Chris Gill, who plays with the Maple Ridge Berards out west in the Summer League.
His buddies will all be watching him tonight.
On the dish, I understand Dan Ladisseur's sister's watching on satellite down in Mexico. As Jacobs has the ball, but it is blown dead, or the clock's not working again.
I think that's what he's calling the 30-second clocks, having problems. So that's a huge kill for Rochester with 6 seconds left in the penalty here. I mean, not only have they killed the penalty, but they scored a shorthanded goal for their first shorthanded goal of the game. It's going to make it tense here, Joe. 10-8.
Yep. Shots on goal favor Toronto 36-33. On the regular season, Rochester had 597 shots on goal. Toronto 596. That represented the bottom 2 teams in the league in shots on goal. Baltimore led with 710 shots on goal.
And how important do you think this next goal is going to be, Joe?
Ooh, it is critical for both teams. 10-8. They're counting the clock down a little bit here before they can get started, but there's still an awful lot of jockeying going on, even with the game not on. Now with 14 seconds left, they put the ball in play.
Rochester's got Casey Powell out there hoping that he could use his speed to generate something.
He has the ball now with a pass inside for Dowling, and he had it stopped by Watson. Ball is scooped by Graham into the crowd, and it will be Toronto ball. And Sunil Joshi standing by downstairs. Sunil?
With me is the assistant coach, Derek Keenan. Derek, it was a 4-goal deficit. Now it's a 2-goal lead as far as you're concerned. Things are starting to tighten up.
Yeah, they're tightening up. We need to get one here for a little bit of comfort. But, you know, lacrosse is a real game of momentum, and they seem to have a bit of it now, but we'll get it back.
Okay, Derek, thank you very much. Let's go back upstairs.
Doyle losing the ball, and it is scooped up here by Rochester. Quick break up on the right side. Mearns, a pass in for Sudan. He scores! And the Rochester Knighthawks are within 1.
Joe, they really caught Toronto on the change there. They got a 3-on-1 break.
Rochester with 4 straight goals after Toronto led 10-5.
It'll be interesting to see if Toronto calls a timeout, Joe. The momentum has definitely swung. There you see it. 3-on-1. Tim Sudan just finishes off. Sudan was the big scorer for them last week.
Sudan's first goal of the game.
He got 2 goals and 5 assists last week, Joe, to lead Rochester to their victory.
And this crowd getting into it a little bit more now as they realize that they're in for a whale of a finish.
Sudan's one of the 4 Americans dressing today, Joe.
Thrown back into the Rochester zone. They're going to have to hurry to get it across the timeline. And they do with Casey Powell. Powell with an inside move, but stumbled and then lost the ball. And a whistle here, and a slash is coming here from one of the officials, and Jim Veltman is infuriated.
And Joe, I thought that was a cheap call there. We're going to see Casey Powell. I don't know if he got knocked down or stumbled. But you'll see he went down and he still had control of the ball.
Well,
at this time of the game,
it's the 7th power play of the game for Rochester, and the shot went wide. Bomberry inside, over top of the net. Down is Watson, trying to fish that ball out of some legs, and Bobby Watson is going to have to come up huge again here, as he has all season for Toronto, a 1-goal lead. It's the championship game. It should be a 1-goal game.
That's right, Joe.
Kim Squire lost the ball, looks to regain it, but is going to pay for it with the collisions in against the wall. Still has control. Now finally dug free. Squire loses his racket or stick, and out come the Rochester Knighthawks. Quick change coming here for both teams. Dowling. Dwayne Jacobs.
Jacobs and Kilgore both have hot hands.
Pass inside. Loose ball. Far side. Ladouceur has knocked the helmet off Kurt Molosky. Pass inside again. Down went Molosky into the goal crease. And then Watson is hit on the side of the head by Corey Bomberry. Bobby Watson missed a great deal of playing time because of a serious eye injury. And
Bobby
Watson is complaining to the officials here that maybe that was a bit of a deliberate shot.
That was a late shot, and I think Bobby might have enhanced it a bit just to make sure the referees know it was a late shot.
Here's a
Here
look
you're going to see the whistle went
just
right at the head. And I don't think that hurt Bobby much, but I think he wants to make sure the referees know.
Those masks are great, but I'll tell you, when you get hit on the side like that, you're still going to sting. Langdale, back of the goal, gets the ball from Veltman. In for Williams, and it was too high. And again, Rochester has the loose ball. Reggie Thorpe heads to the bench. Mearns, far side for Casey Powell. 10-9 and 10 minutes to go. We're in for a great finish. Powell. Sudan. Molosky gets it. No, doesn't get it back. Now he does, but a great play by Veltman, who sticks his stick in there and makes a great steal. Williams back up the floor, but running out of gas quickly.
Running out of room, too.
Squire for Coyle. Took a shot that hit Doyle right in the back of the leg, and Colin Doyle is limping as he gets up. Kim Squire works in, winds it up, fakes, then a one-handed shot, and that was stopped by O'Toole. Doyle to the bench. He got hit right on the back of the calf off his tattoo.
And there behind the play there, Malowski took down Kim Squires, and the referee gave the signal to indicate that he felt it was a dive.
Bomberry inside, gets the ball, and the shot away, and it went over top of the net. Clark wheeling back up the floor for Toronto. Change of players here for Rochester hampers Clark's progress, and the Rock will change on the go. Boy, this crowd is right into it. 8:52 to play in the 4th period. Toronto by 1. Russ Hurd. Gill. Inside. Williams didn't get the shot away, and Rochester's been playing much better defense lately. Williams, a shot, scores! Sean Williams!
And Joe, just before that goal, Randy Mertz made a big defensive play on Sean Williams to stop him from getting a shot, but Williams came right out of the corner. We're going to see it here. Comes right out of the corner. Goes one-on-one. First he beats Thorpe, then he beats Mearns. Thorpe's probably their best defensive player. Mearns is no slouch either. Big effort.
That is a big goal to end a run of 4 straight for Rochester. And as you mentioned, Brian Shanahan, how much this game is a game of momentum.
This way.
And now Dance and Veltman. Now Dance wants to get Veltman off the floor. There's no question about
exactly,
this.
Joe. Dance isn't stupid. He's picking his spot there. He doesn't mind getting in a fight with Jimmy, and he doesn't care what happens as long as he gets the two of them off. But Jimmy's not stupid either. And just hopefully the refs aren't.
Boy, he is...
the Dale Hunter, the Essa-Tikkanen.
Yeah, Essa-Tikkanen, the Claude Lemieux. Big goal from Sean Williams right here. His shot beats O'Toole for a 2-goal lead. Canadian Tour are currently on the PGA Tour, so we invite you to join the BC Tell Us Canadian Tour Weekly. Premieres May the 11th at 7 p.m. here on CTV Sportsnet. Executive producer Norm Webb in the house.
There you see Les Bartley. He's been here many times before, Joe.
8.5 minutes to go in the 4th period. Kim Squire getting the ball set up outside. Toll thinks about moving in, gets it down. Oh, scores! Chris Langdale with his first of the game on a great feed from Steve Toll.
Chris Langdale really found himself open there, Joe. Steve Toll made the nice pass, and it's great for Toronto to be getting goals from these guys. Here you see, nobody's covering him.
All alone.
I don't know how he got open. All alone, and he just reached around. He scored 4 goals this season. Got an assist last week, another Man Cup member from the Brampton Excelsiors. But it's really big. They're getting the goals from the Doyles and the Squires, but it's big when you can get the goals from the Langdales too.
Chris Langdale from Burlington, Captain Cornell in '96. As you mentioned, Man Cup champions with Brampton. And 2 goals in 10 seconds by Toronto has escalated the lead and changed the momentum once again.
And Chris is one of those all-round utility players on the team. He's not strictly a defensive player, and he's not strictly...
Powell with a nice move inside, and Watson goes across the crease to make the save, and then sits on Casey Powell.
They didn't give him much room here. He had to squeeze through, and he's gonna take a beating for this. Takes a dive. He got squashed. He's not only taking hits from the defenders, he's taking hits from Bobby Watson.
There is Langdale. They have outscored the Rockhats 43-30 in this quarter during the regular year. So the 4th quarter has been one of their best, and a shot from a sharp angle by Gill was just handled by O'Toole.
And Joe, we were talking about Chris Langdale, who's an all-round player on the team, plays some offense and defense. On that offensive segment, he stood up high towards the Toronto's defensive zone. His responsibility from this point on is to get back quickly, make sure there's no fast breaks.
Shot clock problem we're hearing.
And you might wonder why it's so important that the shot clock is fixed here, but both teams, the goalies, the guys on offense, the guys on defense, they need to be able to see the clocks. And as you can see, there's a clock in each end, so the defenders need to be able to see that clock in the other end.
And if it's not working, they have no idea how long and how much pressure maybe they can administer.
Well, exactly, Joe. And if there's a loose ball in the corner and there's only 2 seconds left in the shot clock, a defender would be wise not to pick up the ball in a crowd, because the last thing he wants is to pick up the ball and get it stripped with only 2 seconds left. So a smart defender, and these guys are all smart defenders, if there's only a few seconds left in the shot clock, they will step back.
Team have it.
Exactly. Make sure nothing dangerous happens, but they're not going to pick it up. And when the shot clock's not working, it's tough to do that.
Well, we are getting it readjusted, but the clock down to our right in the south end of the building as we get another look at Langdale's goal to make it 12-9 is still not functioning properly, and they're attempting to get it straightened out, and if they can't, now they've turned it right off, so now they're trying to get it turned back on. There's the one at the north end of the building. The one thing that you have to be very impressed with has been the crowd here at Maple Leaf Gardens. They have been right into it right from the get-go, and it has been very exciting. Ed Como standing by with Sunil.
Well, thank you very much, Joe. Ed, this game looked like it was getting that way, but again, the guys came up big with a couple of goals.
Yeah, another great National Lacrosse League game, and we're bearing down. We're bearing our chances. We haven't been doing that the last couple of quarters. We've done it so far this quarter.
Well, you've got less than under 7.5 minutes to a championship. Obviously, the nerves are frayed a little bit.
Well, I think if we stick to our game plan and keep them playing 5-on-5, we're in good shape.
Okay, 7 minutes to go for a championship with the Rock. 12-9. Let's go back upstairs.
That's an important point, Joe. Keep playing 5-on-5. That's what Toronto's got to try to do. And to do that, they got to step away from the rough stuff.
Molosky, a shot inside is stopped, and Big Terry Bullen has the
Casey
rebound.
Powell's getting up slowly, Joe.
He is really being hammered.
3-on-2.
Rod Squire. Kimbo Squire. Pass inside. Toll! What a nice play. The Squire boys team up with Steve Toll.
And Joe, believe it or not, that play all developed because Casey Powell got hurt. He had a hard time getting up and dragging himself off the floor and allowed Toronto to get the fast break.
What a game this has been. Kim Squire and Rod Squire make a great pair of passes, and Toll throws the rebound between the legs of Pat O'Toole.
Toronto really capitalized on this 3-on-2.
Sunil standing by with Stevie Toll.
4 goals for them, 3 for you. All of a sudden, this game looked very good at this point.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we just got to tighten up the defense now. They got some quick goals against us, and now we just got to play tough D and hope Watson stops the door and hope we come out with a big win.
You've done it all, a fight and a goal.
Yeah, right now I'm doing all right. I just got to keep going.
Okay, 13-9, 6.5 to play. Let's go back upstairs.
Long pass. Watson stands up nicely and makes a good save on Dwayne Jacobs.
Somebody missed the assignment there, Joe. Dwayne Jacobs got right open in front of Bobby Watson there.
Coyle. Now to Hurd. Danny Stroop. Part of Air Waters flying these guys in from British Columbia. Talk from the commissioner that there may, in a couple of years, as a shot is stopped by O'Toole, be a Western division of the National Lacrosse League. And boy, the folks out in Vancouver and Burnaby, they would just love this.
There's a good fan base out there and a lot of players, Joe.
Mearns and Jacobs. Now to Kilgore. Boy, he has had a big game here this evening. Another ball on the carpet and a shot! Kicked away. Where is the ball? The light hasn't gone on. Big save from Watson. He did the splits. Now he's got his stick caught in the net.
Watson's stick went in the net, but the ball stayed out.
We got some shoving over by the bench as Ladouceur was involved. Here's that last save. Great split save. And down is Bobby Watson with the ball underneath him. Some of the Rochester players reacting, they thought it was a goal.
Here you see on Dewey Jacobs gets open. Watson just stood tall.
Boy, he looked like a peacock strutting his stuff there, just swelling up, getting that chest nice and big.
And he's smart there because he knew that, as Dewey did, he didn't have a lot of time to make a big move because Glenn Clark was just about to hit him. But Dewey Jacobs, great in close. That's where he scores his goals.
6 Toronto, roughing, 5.
Whoa.
That's a tough call there, Joe.
Ladouceur gets a 5-minute roughing penalty, and Dowling gets 2. So this will mean that in...
There you see Ladouceur in front of the net. I don't think that's what the penalty is. I think the penalty was on the way to the bench. But that's a tough call. 5 minutes against Toronto.
Wow.
It'll be interesting to see with Rochester down by 4 goals, whether they'll pull their goalie at all at this point in the game to play a 5-on-4.
Well, they're going to have a 3-minute power play to work with. And in a 5-minute major, you are allowed to score a maximum of 2 goals.
That's right.
Kilgore with the bounce shot wide of Watson's cage. And this is Clark bringing it up. Glenn Clark has had a marvelous game here tonight. He has been very strong defensively for the Toronto Rock.
He's got a goal and an assist, but it's his defensive work and his loose balls, and he's really liked the ball up the floor a lot, really well tonight.
Kim Squire gets a bit of a pick there from Colin Doyle, who got flattened, and then Squire's shot bounds wide.
Toronto's
racing for a loose ball. Great hustle by Kim Squire, but he couldn't pick it up. Reggie Thorpe back the other way, 3-on-1 on the right side, and it is into the crease. Falling into the crease was Mike Hazen. And is there another penalty here? They get some more shoving, and Dan Teat is right back at it.
Dan Teat and his teammate Chris Langdale. Teat's really going at him hard.
The Knighthawks in a minute 4 will be going to a 3-minute power play opportunity. The Rock lead 13-9.
With me is goaltender Bob Watson. There's a sign out here that says Cujo who Watson rocks. You've certainly rocked. It's become a tradition to interview you near the end of the game. So 4.5, and it's all yours.
That's right. It's become a bit of a tradition. Hopefully it'll pay off for us tonight. We got 17 guys that are focused right now. It's a long way from over. So we got to stay focused, do our jobs, and we'll get the job done.
All right, you do the work, and we'll cross our fingers. Okay, 4.5 to go, 13-9 left in the game. Back to you guys upstairs.
Bobby Watson heading back into the net. Curtis Joseph will be in the goal. As yeah, it's a terrible spot to be when your equipment can't even get out of there. Gonna catch moths with that thing now. The wave making its way around the gardens.
There goes the wave, Joe.
Boy, they have really enjoyed themselves here this season. And looking forward to next year, maybe more games in the schedule.
That's right.
Yeah. Expansion should be a lot of fun. Gill trying to work inside. Shot stopped by O'Toole. 33 seconds left in the 4-on-4, and then the Rochester Knighthawks get a huge opportunity with 3:26 to play in the power play. Casey Powell. Pass inside, intercepted by Coyle. Coyle on a 2-on-1 with Clark. Jacobs is
Coyle's
back.
Going to take it
Coyle all the way, and that was stopped by O'Toole. He'll have to scamper to the bench to get a change of players going here. Powell back up the floor, and now on the power play as Dowling is set to enter the game and does. Shot smothered by Watson.
And that's where you see the inexperience of Casey Powell playing box lacrosse, Joe. He had a power play starting in a fresh 30-second clock, and he took that long shot. Now that gives Toronto 30 seconds to kill.
Roddy Squire faking the handoff and stretching out that defense of Rochester. Right here, they're just concerned with the clock. They're not concerned with a scoring chance.
Toronto's got to try to kill the 30 seconds.
Whoa. Kimbo Squire with a great move, but got a fresh 30 if he can get the ball. Whoa, and a hit. Langdale runs right over Kevin Dance. Oh, did he flatten him? Dowling, 2:16 in the power play, 2:44, fourth period. 13-9 Toronto. Bomberry. Kilgore. Means. Back to Kilgore. He'll shoot it over top the goal. He scored! It bounced right off the glass in front of the net to Kurt Malowski.
Malowski scores a lot of goals like that, Joe. He's got quick hands. Quick hands. He pounces on the rebounds. Right in your living room, you're going to see him pick up this rebound. Only takes a second and it's in. And the Rock has watched footage of these guys all year, and he has scored a number of goals like that. He pounces on the rebounds quickly. And that's what one of the keys was that Toronto had to minimize the rebound goals here because they're good at it.
Now the power play still in effect because it is a major penalty to Ladouceur. The Knighthawks can score one more goal on the major penalty before the Rock would be allowed to go back to full strength. But with 2:13 left and 3 goals the differential. Kilgore inside, pass intercepted, Squire knocked into the goal crease, and it is Rochester ball.
Rod Squire got knocked back into his own crease, Joe, and that's why you can't run back into your own crease even if you're knocked back in. That's what the call was there. Was that nice play by Ted Dowling. Roddy didn't have much room and he just pushed him into the crease.
Here we go again.
Malowski squeezing in there, Joe.
Bomberry, Kilgore shot, stopped by Watson, the rebound. Shot over top of the goal. Kilgore's run off the ball with Jimmy Veltman. Now with 1:20 to go on the power play. 1:48 left, 4th period.
Now, Joe, we said Toronto should be trying to kill 30 seconds, but the last time Rochester was so aggressively pursuing the ball that Toronto had to go to the net. We'll see what happens here.
Gill, 1.5 minutes, and many are starting to rise as one here at the Gardens to salute a tremendous game. Doyle shoots it on goal, bounces high, and it will be Rochester ball as the Rock are trying to go 8-0 in their new home at Maple Leaf Gardens. Dowling, 1:15. Dowling back to Kilgore, to Bomberry. Bomberry with a shot, stopped by Watson. Rebound controlled by the Bullen wall. Terry Bullen takes it back and gives it off to goaltender Watson. Watson throws it up the floor with 55 seconds left, and a timeout is called by the Toronto Rock and Coach Les Bartley. They're on their feet at Maple Leaf Gardens.
And Joe, with less than a minute to go, usually they'll talk to the referees and say, we're going to call a timeout when we get the ball. And that's what happened there. And when the defenders know what's happening, they don't even try to get the ball up the floor.
Colin Doyle is imploring the crowd to make some more noise.
Toronto's got the ball here, Joe.
Been a long time since I watched that game, and George Armstrong scored into an empty net to ensure a Game 6 victory and a Stanley Cup win for the Toronto Maple Leafs in this building. The Toronto Marlboros won Memorial Cups while they made this their home, but they never won it on home ice. So this would be the next championship after that.
And Joe, at the start of the season, I wouldn't be lying to say that this team felt they could win the championship, but
well, there's Bill Waters enjoying the game. He has been instrumental in putting the management group together. And here's a look at the all-time indoor championships as the Toronto Rock trying to join this illustrious group of which the Rochester Knighthawks have won the title.
And Toronto felt right from the start they had a team that could contend to win this. But the crowd support that they've gotten, the way the city has gotten into this team,
Langdale,
beyond anyone's dreams.
Oh, he got smothered there by Jeremy Holenbeck. And then he gives Holenbeck a pretty good whack on the way through. O'Toole was heading out of the goal. And now here's, I think, another penalty.
Actually, I think it's just a timeout for Rochester.
Timeout Rochester. But Coach Les Bartley was infuriated that there wasn't a call there on the collision. Boy, Chris Langdale really got caught coming through the hole.
I don't think they're not going to give Toronto any breaks at this point. Here you see Langdale gets a hit up high. Holenbeck, Jeremy Holenbeck just crashes him. But I don't think the players expect any breaks at this point.
Listen to this crowd. The final 41.9 seconds. 13-10 Toronto.
So this team has really done a lot for lacrosse in the area. Minor lacrosse registration is way up all over the province.
Down it comes to Kilgore. Mearns to Kilgore. Shot over top of the goal. Jacob has the rebound. 3 seconds left in Ladisher's penalty. He's back onto the floor. Shot goes wide. Now it is Rochester again inside, and another save by Watson. Loose ball. Cleared to the corner, and a whistle. Toronto ball with 23 seconds left. Another great piece of defensive work, as it has been the key all season long. 10 goals against is about the team's average for their season. And of course, 2 last week was just unheard of in this
exactly,
game.
Joe. 12 goals against in 2 playoff games so far.
Colin Doyle with 4 goals and 6 in these playoffs. And certainly a big-time performer in the playoffs. Boy, the goal he scored against Baltimore that gave them home floor advantage. And Les Bartley and Ed Como and assistant coach Brian Shanahan have done an outstanding job.
Clark.
Yeah, it has really been a team effort, hasn't it?
This team, they've got such great discipline. And Bobby Watson hasn't played too bad either, Joe.
They are really into it. This is magic.
And Joe, people told me lacrosse couldn't sell in this city.
Call the fat lady. She's on in 5. I'm not sure she's talking about Bob Watson there. Bobby Watson with a big smile on his face. Boy, is he enjoying this. He will stay on the bench for a 6th attacker in order that the full court press to be administered here by the Knighthawks, that they have an outlet as we widen out to give you the full view of the floor here.
And they're just going to spread out and give Langdale as much room as possible to run.
Langdale gets it in. Now we need Watson back on the floor. He's trying to get somebody's attention.
Oh, they don't need him, Joe.
No, 10 seconds left. They'll just throw the ball around. They're on their feet. We haven't seen this in Toronto in a long time. The Toronto Rock are the world lacrosse champions. The National Lacrosse League champions, Toronto Rock. It's a tough game played by tough individuals who have to have a lot of little boy in them. And I think we're seeing that right here.
Exactly, Joe. And as tough as these guys play out here, and as much as they look like they hate each other, these guys, both teams, will be together later on tonight.
It's a lot like rugby, isn't it, in that way?
Oh, exactly. They leave it on the floor. You wouldn't believe. A lot of these guys have played together, not just the Brampton guys from last summer, but there's guys from Six Nations, there's guys from all over, and that's another thing, Joe. Most of these players will be playing all over Ontario this summer. For $5, you can go to a small rink in Ontario and watch a lot of these guys play.
They join at center floor to shake hands. The Toronto Rock, what a success story after going 6-6 a year ago, losing 3 games in overtime. And at the end of the year, Les Bartley suggested that this team felt that it was good enough to win the whole ball of wax last year if they had been able to win a couple of close games. This year, they went 4-1 in 1-goal games, and their defense and goaltending was the league's best. And because of it, that championship trophy will be presented tonight to Captain Jim Veltman and that man Les Bartley, the head coach of the Toronto Rock.
That's right, Joe. We spoke about unsung heroes earlier, but really there are no unsung heroes on this Toronto team, because in that dressing room where it really counts, everybody is appreciated, from the guy who's scoring the goals to the guy who just picks up loose balls, the guy who just takes face-offs, to the guys who play defense. These guys, they all know their worth to this team.
The Rock go 11-3 total this season, and of the 3 losses, 2 of them on the road, of course, because they have not tasted defeat on the floor at Maple Leaf Gardens. 2 of the losses were in overtime.
That's right, Joe. And you mentioned, Les Bartley said he felt at the end of last season, the Ontario Raiders, who are now the Toronto Rock, were the best team in the league. And a lot of people thought he was just blowing smoke, but he wasn't. This team was confident. They believed in themselves, and they really built strength around defense.
They sure have. And Big Dan Ladouceur, the mild-mannered cop from Durham region who turns into a animal out here when he starts to play. And now we're going to go downstairs, I believe, and the commissioner of the National Lacrosse League.
Thank you, John. On behalf of Waterford Crypto, tonight's championships game, most valuable player trophy 2, with 4 goals, 2 assists, Toronto Rocks, number 7, Colin Doyle!
He ignited this team in the first quarter with a hat trick and lifted them to a 5-2 lead, a lead they would not surrender.
And like you said, Joe, what a big game player. He scored 17 goals all season. Yet some very big ones, but 6 goals in these 2 playoff games.
And the goal against Baltimore that gave them first place, or at least a chance to win first place and home floor advantage. And there is the championship trophy.
Now I'd like to ask
Joe.
Bill Waters, Les Bartley, and Johnny Meridian to come forward.
A lot of boys are going to be putting rings on their fingers in a little while.
I'm not sure that Bill Waters has made his way all the way down from the press box, but right now, Johnny Meridian, the general manager, and
I'd like to begin by congratulating
along with the assistant
Rochester
captains.
Knighthawks on a fantastic season. Les, Johnny, Bill, congratulations. You guys have made Friday nights lacrosse night in Canada.
As you see, Jim Veltman, the captain, with the assistant captains out there.
Undefeated here in the Garden. And tonight, you're champions. It gives me great pleasure to present to you the 1999 National Lacrosse League Champions Cup.
It's almost as big as the Stanley Cup, and to these guys it means just as much. Terry Bullen, who became a father for the second time this afternoon.
Terry's had a great day, Joe.
Yes, he has. I wonder what he'll name his daughter. It better have something to do with this.
Well, it's called the Champions Cup, so maybe he'll call her champ.
Yep. And now, as each player takes his turn holding the championship trophy, Colin Doyle, the game's MVP. There is Gill, who had just a tremendous game. Chris Gill toting it around. And the head coach standing by with our Sunil Joshi. Sunil?
Thank you, Joe. Les, this is amazing, absolutely amazing. I've watched a lot of hockey in this building, but what you guys have done here is truly amazing, and you should be congratulated for it.
Thank you very much. Not just myself. This is a lot of hard work by everybody in our organization, from the equipment guy to the ball boys, the players, and the management group. I mean, it's just been an unbelievable feeling working with this organization.
And what's amazing is you won it with defense, didn't you?
Absolutely did. Our defense didn't let us down again tonight. Hold the oppositions to 10 or less. You're doing a darn good job. We did that.
Okay, thank you, Les. Go ahead, enjoy yourself. You deserve every minute of it.
Thanks very much.
Okay, there it is. Les Bartley, the coach. He's done it before with the Buffalo Bandits, and now he's done it with the Toronto Rock. Let's go back upstairs to Joe and Brian.
Boy, there's a lot of people that you have to kind of circle as unsung heroes or heroes here tonight. But when Rochester scores 4 straight goals to narrow it to a 1-goal game, Sean Williams and then really Chris Langdale, out of the blue, the two really not big goal scorers, score huge goals to change the momentum back around.
Exactly, Joe. We often talk about how there's a lot of momentum swings in lacrosse, and everything was starting to go Rochester's way. The crowd was quiet, and that got them right back into it, swung the momentum back into Toronto's hands.
Steve Toll then scores the 13th goal, and Rochester gets one on the power play for a 13-10 Toronto victory. And Sunil's got another special guest.
And with me is Pat Coyle. Tell me about this experience and what has it been for you?
This is just fantastic. You know, I've been playing lacrosse for a long time and was lucky enough to win a couple Man Cups in 92 and 93 with Brampton, but I mean, it's been a long time since I've won anything, and this is just awesome.
Okay, I'm going to let you go to that picture. Go ahead. Pat Coyle, congratulations. The obligatory team picture being taken right here at center ice. Let's go back upstairs, gentlemen.
Boy, that is a tradition that has started from the National Hockey League, and look at the smiling faces on that group of
there's
marvelous
no better
athletes.
team shot than that one in front of a trophy, Joe.
No, you're right. Les Bartley and Johnny Meridian, the general manager and coach, shaking hands. Ed Como, Jimmy Veltman. Boy, what a lacrosse player this guy is. There's Sean Williams, the blonde-haired young man. Veltman, the captain, somewhere in that scrum with Gill. What a job they did. Colin Doyle and
Bobby
Bob
Watson there.
What, are we fixing it already? We've broken it? Don't tell me we broke it. Mike Sullivan, the public relations
Well, Joe, they got to build a tradition like the Stanley Cup. I'm sure that's been broken a few times.
I guess
that's exactly what they're plugging it, Joe, so they can pour
some. Leak. All right, Colin Doyle standing by. The game MVP was Sunil.
And with me is Colin Doyle. Congratulations. Wow, when this game started, did you think this is the way it was going to end up?
Well, I had a good feeling about the way things were going to end up. I knew things were going to go our way. Whether or not it was going to go that well, that smooth, I don't know.
I talked to you during the game, and boy, the captain certainly gave you some sweet passes.
Like I said before, I played with one of the best players in the world. I think tonight I played with the best player in the game.
All right, when you look around, 15,691, the first championship in this building since George Armstrong and the Maple Leafs. Yeah. This is amazing.
This is what it's all about. I mean, without the fans, you know, we're not a team, and we owe it to them as much as we owe it to ourselves. We're over grateful for the fans. They've given unbelievable support.
Now, when you go to Laurier, what is this? I mean, what do you do next?
I still got to get my schooling, I guess. That's what my mother tells me, so I'll work on that. I'm going to enjoy this for a few weeks, though.
But mom does know best, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Let's go back upstairs, gentlemen.
Joe, I think this is a bit more exciting than the intramural ball hockey championships at Wilfrid Laurier.
Yes, exactly. I don't know if they'll let Doyle play in the intramural lacrosse league, though, will they? They'll probably have to fire him out. Bill Waters has made it down to the dressing room area, and I think the one thing that he has done is just really let the players have their moment, and I know as excited as he is, I'm not sure that when he convinced all of his management group that they would ever dream that it would take off the way it has. No. But as the commissioner said, they've made Friday night, hockey night, or lacrosse night in Toronto. And so not since 1967 has this building had a championship trophy presented to the winning team, a Toronto team, on the floor of Maple Leaf Gardens. A big win, 13-10 over Rochester. Toronto National Lacrosse League champions.